Chapter 391. Especially the little lowly in white, Meng Qianma, whose expression was even more solemn. She didn't think that she would be unable to protect the people of Class 66 because of the purple merit level when she went out to prepare for the conference. Every purple merit level was a treasure among treasures in the academy, and they couldn't afford to lose them. Losing any one of them would be a loss to the entire academy. Not to mention Lin Chen, who dared to take on 4 of them by himself. His value was even more important than the purple merit level. What's going on? Why is it so noisy? Heavenly Song Academy has been established in the spiritual state for tens of thousands of years. Aren't you losing your dignity by behaving like this? At this moment, 2 elders in black and white slowly appeared and criticized seriously. Their figures were somewhat illusory, as if they didn't exist in this world. It's the black and white elders of Heavenly Song Academy. What a terrifying aura. I heard that they were already half-step Emperor realm 1,000 years ago, right? The powerhouses who came to ask for compensation couldn't help but swallow their saliva. Greetings, Elder Xian. The higher-ups immediately reported the whole story with cupped fists. The 2 elders looked at each other and saw the strange light in each other's eyes. The white-robed Elder Xian said, "Such a strange thing actually happened. It's not a big deal, but it's not a small one either. All of you go out and bring those little guys back." Yes. As the higher-ups accepted the order, another white light descended from the sky. Let me go. The spiritual state hasn't been so lively for many years. I didn't think that so many sects would be alarmed because of my Heavenly Song Academy. When the elegant and ethereal voice of a woman floated, the crowd was shocked. Even the black and white elders were no exception. Their bodies trembled, and they respectfully cupped their fists towards the void. Greetings, Vice Principal. The powerhouses of the other forces all looked over in shock. In the void, the elegant white-robed figure was dreamy and blurred, as if she was hiding in the clouds. She was so ethereal that they couldn't see her true appearance. The Vice Principal of Heavenly Song Academy. A genuine Emperor Realm powerhouse. When an emperor is angry, heaven and earth bow. Moreover, according to legends, she was already a war Emperor Realm existence 10,000 years ago. Today, no one could see through her realm. The Vice Principal actually came out of seclusion because of this. Although the purple merit rank is outstanding, it's still not worthy of the attention of an expert like the Vice Principal. Those who don't become sovereigns are nothing but floating clouds. Back then, when this old man became a purple merit officer, the Vice Principal didn't even ask a single question. While many high-level officials were secretly shocked, Meng Qianma's beautiful eyes flashed with surprise. Vice Principal must have come out of seclusion because of Lin Chen. Since ancient times, there hasn't been a single student who has been able to challenge 4 purple warriors in the same generation. Lin Chen's potential has even alarmed the Vice Principal. Meng Qianmo's heart was in turmoil. She was very clear that when she became a purple merit officer, she was fortunate enough to meet the Vice President. However, the Vice President had only glanced at her indifferently. "Leave this matter to me. You guys are responsible for verifying the compensation to the various factions." The Vice Principal disappeared in a flash. With her personally taking action, the storm in everyone's hearts instantly calmed down. It was a monarch stage expert, and the Vice Dean of the Heavenly Song Academy at that. Even if there were 5 9th-level Yuan Venerates, she could easily capture them alive, let alone 5 students. The 5 of them stopped in a huge city in the north region. At first, Yi Juesheng wanted Lin Chen to pay with his life, while Fu Wanquan wanted to dig out Lin Chen's secrets. Long Xiangyu didn't have the heart to fight, while Mo Feng wanted to get rid of Lin Chen. These 4 purple merit officers were fighting for their own interests at first. However, as the battle continued, they became increasingly aware of how terrifying Lin Chen was. If Lin Chen was allowed to continue growing, there was no doubt that he would surpass the 4 of them. When that time came, none of the four of them would be a match for him in a one-on-one battle. Lin Chen's murderous intent had already been revealed. He wanted to kill the three of them apart from Fu Wanquan. They fought their way from the south region to the north region. In the end, when they saw the 9 sacred marks between Lin Chen's brows, the four of them had a tacit understanding and unanimously decided to kill Lin Chen. This battle was instigated by Lin Chen. Even if they killed Lin Chen, the Academy's higher-ups wouldn't have anything to say when they returned. At the same time, in the north region of the Spirit State, several 100,000 feet above Taihao City, many powerhouses in Taihao City were alarmed today. Even the ancient families were no exception. A battle between purple merit officers in the Heavenly Song Academy was already a rare sight, let alone 4 purple merit officers against 1. I remember now. The 5th person is Lin Chen. That's Lin Chen who killed the 4 heavenly kings in an instant. He actually came out and even fought with the 4 purple merit officers of the Heavenly Song Academy? In Taihao City, there were many prodigies who had entered the Holy Fire level before because this was the area that the Dan family was in charge of. He actually came here. Dan Qianqiu, who had once gone on an adventure with Lin Chen, happened to be in Taihao City with many junior sisters. Her beautiful eyes glowed as she stared at the figure in the void. In the void, the 5 figures each occupied an area. Not running anymore? Looks like the 4 of you have decided to kill me together, right? Lin Chen sneered as he wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Any one of the 4 purple merit officers was 1 or 2 levels stronger than the saints Lin Chen had fought before. They had obtained the greatest opportunity of their lives in the Purgatory secret realm, and they were no exception. The 4 of them were only at the mid-stage and late stage of the first level Yuan Venerate. However, their combat strength was infinitely close to the 4th level Yuan Venerate realm. If it was a one-on-one battle, Lin Chen was confident that he could take down any one of them within 100 rounds. However, if they joined forces, the difficulty wouldn't be as simple as 1+1. Fu Wanquan aside, Lin Chen wasn't going to let the other 3 off today. I'll cut his middle 3 paths and leave his tricky spear techniques to me. Long Xiangyu, you deal with the green dragon. The rest will be left to Mo Feng and Yi Juesheng, who are experts in assassination. Once he uses that mysterious cloning technique, all of you attack with all your might. Just attack with all your might. His doppelganger will disappear after receiving a certain amount of damage. Fu Wanquan said as he chewed on an elixir. Although everyone was unhappy with his command, their goal was still the same. After deciding on a plan, Fu Wanquan threw his 1,000 springs sword into the air, which split into 4 10,000-meter-long blue sword shadows. 4 symbols soul lock sword. The 4 blue sword shadows were imposing as they scattered and converged. There was no way to capture their trajectories as they slashed towards Lin Chen at extreme speed. A sword technique that you haven't used before. Are you going all out? That's exactly what I want. Brandishing his spear with both hands, his gold calamity body unleashed countless golden streaks that turned into dragon tails, dragon claws, and dragon fangs. He frantically blocked the 4 sword shadows. At that moment, the 4 of them moved at the same time. Fu Wanquan swung his sword again and a transparent sword all shot out. The purple phoenix wings flapped as Lin Chen executed the 2nd stage of the astral trampling thunder battle technique. Astral Trampling Teleportation. Chapter 392. Dark Dragon Palm, Level 7 Dark Dragon Force. Heavenly Dragon Transformation. Lin Chen's astral stepping teleportation increased his speed by another level, and Yi Juesheng and Mo Feng's expressions changed slightly. Lin Chen teleported behind the 2 of them in a flash. With a palm and a spear, his aura was overwhelming. However, at this critical juncture, any accident could happen because everyone had a trump card up their sleeve. 10,000 souls, demonic forest blade. The demonic blade aura flashed, and even the light was swallowed by it. Prisoned dragon armor. A dark golden dragon armor covered Mo Feng's entire body. Bang! Boom! The two of them received Lin Chen's attack, and both of them retreated dozens of steps in the air. Long Xiangyu transformed into a dragon man, and his dragon claws shook the galaxy. He clashed with the ancient azure dragon, and the latter was forced to retreat, its dragon scales cracking. The ancient azure dragon's strength was at most comparable to an early-stage level 3. Without the help of the doppelgangers, it was far from being Long Xiangyu's match. Return of the Azure Dragon. The ancient azure dragon turned into a green light and entered Lin Chen's body. Lin Chen's pure strength instantly broke through 29500 dragon power. The Azure Dragon and the doppelgangers are only to prevent you from escaping. Since you have decided to fight to the death, I, Lin Chen, will accompany you to the end. Lin Chen suddenly shouted, and the third transformation of Azura's 9 Brilliance transformation appeared. His battle aura cultivation increased by another level. Mid-level rune energy decreased by 6 points. Lin Chen was left with 10 points of mid-level rune energy. The moment the 3 illusionary doppelgangers appeared, Lin Chen pushed out with his palm. The slowdown rune is comparable to 300 million points of basic rune energy. I won't be able to stop you. The grayish-white talisman fell from the sky and stunned Mo Feng. Boom! With the combination of the illusionary cloak and purple phoenix wings, Lin Chen's astral stepping teleportation was ridiculously fast. Almost at the moment the slowdown rune entered Mo Feng's body, Lin Chen appeared and stabbed with his golden spear. He wanted to kill them one by one and kill Mo Feng first. Just as the 3 of them were about to help Mo Feng, 3 doppelgangers arrived in an instant. Black Dragon Palm and Divine Shadow Wind Demon Kick instantly erupted. The 3 of them could not spare any time to help Mo Feng. Damn it! How can this bastard's secret technique be so powerful? Mo Feng's expression was filled with shock. The golden dagger blocked in front of him, intending to forcefully block Lin Chen's spear. Clang! Crack crack! The 5 dragons' imperial spear pierced through his dagger, causing a few cracks to appear. The terrifying pure strength penetrated his body, penetrating the sharp gung metal chi, shattering his defensive armor on the spot. At this time, Lin Chen had used the 3rd layer of the 9 Brilliance transformations, adding on the Azure Dragon's 29500 dragon power. His spear was not as simple as before. Several attribute light orbs fell to the ground, but Lin Chen didn't care about them. I don't want to die yet. F***CK, what kind of secret technique is this? As Mo Feng vomited blood, he was on the verge of going crazy. Even if he channeled all his strength, only less than 30% of his battle chi could break through the restrictions of the slow. Lin Chen swung his spear rapidly, and with just 3 spear strikes, all of Mo Feng's life-saving trump cards were destroyed. 30% of his battle chi could not even block Lin Chen's breath. Thinking back to when this guy pushed him into the tomb of the 100 ancestors, Lin Chen wanted to kill him as soon as possible. Die for me. With the last spear strike, Lin Chen ruthlessly stabbed at his heart. Clang! Sword light shot out and blocked Lin Chen's spear tip. It was Fu Wanchuan's 10,000 spring sword. His whole body was covered in a bloody glow. Clearly, he had used some kind of secret technique to break through the doppelganger's encirclement. I'll block him. You recover quickly. Fu Wanquan suddenly shouted coldly. The 10,000 spring sword in his hand exploded, and the sword shadows slashed at Lin Chen continuously. You want to die too, don't you? Lin Chen's voice was cold, and his gaze was sharp. The 5 dragons' imperial spear pierced through the air like lightning, and the Gengjin Qi pierced through the void. The stabs turned into flicks, and the flicks turned into smashes, blocking the countless sword shadows. The Heavenly Age Rebel Dragon spear technique was executed perfectly. Lin Chen was starting to suppress Fu Wanquan in a direct confrontation. On the other side, the other two forcefully blocked the three doppelgangers. Mo Feng crazily chewed pills, ignoring everything else. He devoured the energy crazily, trying to break through the restrictions of the slow runes. The more Fu Wanquan fought, the more shocked he became. He had already used 2 top-tier blue-rank sword techniques and a forbidden technique, Inner Demon Blood Body. His strength had more than doubled temporarily. But even though he was so strong, he was still at a disadvantage after just one exchange. The third tier of 9 Brilliance Transformation and 29,500 Dragon Power points increased Lin Chen's strength by 1 or 2 levels. Fu Wanquan was delusional to fight Lin Chen in close combat, but he was no match for him. In less than 70 rounds, he was covered in blood. All of them were injured by Lin Chen's Metal Tribulation and Thunder Tribulation constitutions, as well as the Gengjin Qi on the tip of the spear. Boom! Just as Fu Wanquan was about to give up, Mo Feng finally broke through the restrictions of the slow runes and swung his dark gold dagger. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. He used the astral shift and retreated in a flash. At that moment, his 3 doppelgangers were defeated by Yi Juesheng and Long Xiangyu, who had used all their trump cards. The doppelgangers couldn't replicate the ancient Azure Dragon's possession, so in terms of pure strength, they only had Lin Chen's strength. Although they could fight against the two at full strength, they couldn't suppress Fu Wanquan like Lin Chen did. When they saw Lin Chen once again circulate his mental cultivation method and crazily absorb 10,000 zhang of Ling Qi to replenish himself, the 4 of them felt their hearts skip a beat. Don't waste time with him. Don't hold back. Let's end this in one move. We are no match for him in a protracted battle. At that moment, Yi Juesheng suddenly shouted, and the other 3 unleashed their battle auras, which covered half of Taihao City. You want to go all out? That's exactly what I want. I'll let you die a quick death later. Lin Chen's battle-intent sword, and a brutal killing intent flashed across his forehead. The level 4 recharge rune and level 4 slow rune began to brew. The 3 doppelgangers activated different battle auras and transformed into different heavenly tribulation battle constitutions. Limitless 10,000 swords. Above Fu Wanquan's head, tens of thousands of sword auras appeared in a row, forming a spinning wheel of sword aura that slashed at Mo Feng. White Bone Demon Dragon Claw. Long Xiangyu transformed into a ghostly bone dragon. His hands turned into claws, and 10 dragon claw marks tore through the void, tearing at Lin Chen from both sides. 7 ghost flashes. Mo Feng flashed 7 ghostly flashes in a row, sneaking into the void unpredictably. The erratic flashes flashed 7 times in a row, leaving no trace at all. Wild Dragon Slaying Saber. Yi Juesheng raised his saber with both hands and slashed out diagonally. The saber's trajectory was like a half-moon, and the saber's edge fiercely slashed out a saber light that looked like a snow-patterned dragon. All the experts in Taihao City were watching with rapt attention. No one wanted to miss this historic moment. Fighting 4 purple merit warriors alone in the same generation, not to mention the Heavenly Song Academy. Even in the history of the spiritual state, no one had done it in the hundreds of thousands of years. Regardless of whether he succeeded or not, this would be a historic moment. Would he fall or become a legend? Chapter 393. Lin Chen expended another 1 point of intermediate rune energy. All of his clones, including himself, had activated level 4 rune energy replenishment. The 3,000 feet tall Azura demon statue with 3 heads and 6 arms appeared and disappeared above the clones. Its 6 arms made a chanting gesture. At this moment, the demon statue's aura surged like a raging dragon. It suddenly unleashed a spiritual attack that could shatter mountains and rivers, crashing into the sword wheel that was spinning at 4 speeds. The second and third clones leaped into the air at the same time and used astral treading teleportation. The two clones used Wind Calamity and Thunder Calamity battle body, creating endless gales and lightning. Hell's Wind Devil. The vast and violent Wind Calamity battle aura wreaked havoc and spun rapidly. With Lin Chen's clones as the center, two terrifying tornadoes were formed. The two tornadoes seemed to have come from hell, falling like meteors towards the 10 dragon claw marks and the snow-patterned saber light. This kind of battle technique, even 10 more moves won't be enough. Lin Chen's purple golden eyes and spiritual power probed slightly, and the 7 strange lights that were hidden in the void suddenly revealed their true forms. They were like wriggling snakes, moving nimbly and nimbly. They were constantly changing their movement patterns and were specifically aiming for tricky spots. Heavenly Gung Battle Dragon. The 5 dragons' imperial spear pierced out like lightning, and the 5-colored spear shadows bloomed like flowers. Every single Gung metal spear light turned into a circle, completely enveloping the 7 strange lights. The sharp Gung metal chi pierced through the void, directly annihilating the 7 strange lights into nothingness. It was like a clay ox entering the sea, unable to cause any waves at all. What? Mo Feng exclaimed in disbelief. His attack was actually annihilated by Lin Chen so easily? The sharp Gung metal spear light appeared in the void, and after annihilating the 7 strange lights, it was like 10,000 lights shooting into the sky, sealing off all of Mo Feng's escape routes. No, Lin Chen, you can't kill me. I'm a purple warrior. Mo Feng was instantly submerged in the sky full of golden spear shadows, leaving only a spirit receiving ring and a few attribute light balls. Only a mid-4th level Yuan Venerate could withstand the attack of Lin Chen's 29500 dragon power points, Gold Calamity Battle Body, Level 4 Charging Rune, and the 5 dragons' Imperial Spear. Lin Chen and his 3 clones attacked at almost the same time. The moment Mo Feng was annihilated, the entire Taihao city erupted in an earth-shattering explosion. His might spread for thousands of miles, and the energy storm set off a frenzied tide that reached tens of thousands of feet in size. The tide of energy continued to surge, like a ball of sun condensing at the edge of the sky, constantly expanding. Lin Chen's mid-grade rune energy suddenly dropped by 7 points. A several thousand feet long grayish-white talisman shook the universe and slowed down time and space. This final move, the Rune of Deceleration, had stunned the other 3 purple warriors on the spot. He couldn't even run his battle chi anymore. The 3 clones disappeared at the same time, annihilated by the aftershocks. At this moment, Lin Chen wore the Spirit Illusion Cloak, used the Thousand Mountains Mystic Armor, and held the 5 dragons' Imperial Spear in his hand. He used the Astral Step teleportation and charged into the energy storm alone. With a slash of the dragon's spear, he cut through the energy storm and tore through the void. Lin Chen and his spear alone broke through the vast energy storm. He ignored the aftershocks of the energy storm that shook his body and endured them all, activating his movement technique again and again. No. Lin Chen, I'm willing to call you king. Long Xiangyu begged for mercy in the energy storm. Lin Chen, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have coveted your secrets. Let me go, and I'll get the Fu family to give you a large number of high-grade cultivation techniques and treasures. Fu Wanquan had most of his battle chi sealed by the Rune of Deceleration. He panicked when he saw Lin Chen approaching. Lin Chen, stop fighting, stop fighting. I still have the inheritance coordinates of several masters. Don't kill me, and I'll give them all to you. Yi Juesheng was so scared that he wet his pants and knelt down in the void to beg for mercy. They didn't expect Lin Chen to be able to use such a fierce attack after fighting with them for so long. He even blocked their full-strength attacks. You can beg for mercy after you go to hell. Lin Chen was bathed in blood. He used the astral step teleportation again, as if he had jumped through space. The golden Gung spear disappeared in a flash. Like a golden lightning bolt, it pierced through the space between the 3 of them. The masters only felt a flash of lightning, and when they looked carefully, they saw blood splattering in the sky. When the energy storm dissipated, the five-colored dragon energy grew and swam inside the spear. His silver robe fluttered, and with the dragon's spear in his hand, he slowly descended from the void. In the void, the masters who were watching the battle couldn't help but sigh. The whole Heavenly Song Academy, no, the whole spiritual state is going to change. This kid is unparalleled in history. Is he the new king of the new era? Even the elegant figure in white standing proudly in the void couldn't help but gasp in amazement as she stared at the energy storm. She was the vice principal of Heavenly Song Academy. In the beginning, the vice principal had planned to stop the five of them when she arrived. However, as she observed, she was shocked by Lin Chen's power and mystery. She speculated that Lin Chen's cultivation method could transform his battle aura into an apocalypse combat body, which meant that it was at least at the advanced purple level. Secondly, even she couldn't see through his clone technique. Also, every time Lin Chen used a combat technique, its power would skyrocket. In the end, the Vice Dean felt that his secret technique, which could even slow down space, had infinite possibilities. She even had a feeling that if Lin Chen was given enough time to grow, would that secret technique be able to slow down time as well? Even Emperor-level masters didn't have a secret technique that could affect time. She saw infinite possibilities in Lin Chen. If they were to stop Lin Chen just like that, his killing intent would have already been revealed. If they were to ask him to retract his killing intent, it might even cause the Academy to lose such a peerless genius. Therefore, she chose to watch from the sidelines. Instead of protecting the four mediocre geniuses, she might as well take the risk. She would let them become Lin Chen's stepping stones in exchange for a peerless genius with infinite possibilities. The energy storm lasted for a long time, and the moment it began to dissipate, everyone saw it clearly. The legendary four purple merit-level geniuses, who were comparable to saints and saintesses, began to fall from the void with only their heads or corpses left. It was as if time had stopped at this scene. The azure dragon soared into the sky. The azure dragon coiled under the youth's feet, and he stood on top of the dragon's head. His cold eyes seemed to contain the sea of stars. He held the dragon's spear in his hand, and his silver robe was tattered like a painting. He was bathed in blood, but the domineering aura between his brows was unparalleled. His childish face couldn't hide his domineering aura, as if he was the ruler of the world and looked down on the 9 prefectures. All the masters in Taihao City, and even the commoners with a little cultivation, were staring at this scene in a daze. Seeing this scene, everyone's hearts seemed to be filled with only one word at the same time. Heaven, God, down, mortal, deities descending to the mortal world, hammering 4. Looking up at the world, invincible. No matter how chaotic the world is, no matter how wild the 9 prefectures are. Chapter 394. Taihao City's city protection array dimmed slightly. It had consumed a lot of energy to defend against the shockwaves from the collision of the 5 people. Host received 16 points of intermediate rune energy, 950 points of intermediate battle aura essence, 890 points of intermediate health points, 180 points of heavenly Tao points. Host received 2 points of intermediate metal energy, 2 points of intermediate fire energy, 2 points of intermediate fire energy, 80 points of talent points, 100 points of talent points, 12 points of intermediate technique essence. Host opened green crystal treasure chest and received 500 heavenly Tao points as a reward. Host opened green crystal treasure chest and received 200 heavenly Tao points as a reward. Lin Chen stood on top of the ancient azure dragon's head and took the soul collecting rings, weapons, and attribute light balls dropped by the 4 people. The system's screen kept popping up. At this moment, Lin Chen was already at his limit. He charged into the energy storm and killed the other 3 people, leaving Lin Chen covered in wounds. But if he didn't do that, he would have to pay a heavier price to kill the other 3 people. It hurt so much. If it weren't for the spirit illusion cloak, the defensive strength of my flesh shell body, and the reinforced iron bones talent, I wouldn't have been able to last half of the time with the Earth Calamity physique and the 1,000 Yuetian armor. Lin Chen deactivated the Azura 9 Brilliance transformation. He was panting and sweating profusely. Fortunately, the techniques and treasures he obtained from this battle were enough to make up for Lin Chen's losses. He actually killed 4 purple meritorious saints who were also saints. Below Taihao City, Dan Qianqiu stared at Lin Chen, who was standing proudly in the air, as if in a dream. Her heart trembled slightly. The elders of the Dan family also saw this. This young man, who was like a god descending from the heavens, would definitely become famous in the spiritual state after today. His light and legend would shine through the ages, and his name would spread throughout the 9 states. Even in the 8 states outside of the spiritual state, he could be called a peerless genius of the ages. The girls who were around the same age as Dan Qianqiu were all like her. They stared at Lin Chen with an intense glow in their eyes. But this scene was also noticed by the masters of the Bai family who were inside Taihao City. This kid is the one who instantly killed the 4 heavenly kings and killed my Bai family's holy son, Lin Chen? My goodness, they're actually having internal strife. Are the people of Heavenly Song Academy fighting their own people? Now isn't the time to talk about this. This brat is practically a deity that descended from the heavens. He fought 4 purple merit rank students alone and still managed to escape unscathed and kill all 4 of them. If he is given enough time, he will become an earth-shaking master in the spiritual state. Several Yuan venerate elders of the Bai family were also filled with killing intent. At this moment, a murderous intent flashed through the air. Lin Chen felt a bone-piercing chill. You're already so monstrous at such a young age. If you were given another 10 years, wouldn't you be unrivaled under the heavens? Die now and pay for my Bai clan's holy son with your life. Just as the old man's cryptic and gloomy voice sounded, a terrifying killing intent surged over. From the east, a streak of flowing light flashed past and headed straight for Lin Chen. The speed of the streak of light was extremely fast. In an instant, it traveled thousands of miles and directly tore apart Taihao City's great city barrier array. Almost as soon as Lin Chen reacted, it was already within 1,000 miles of Lin Chen. It's a 7th level Yuan Venerate, no, an 8th level or 9th level Yuan Venerate powerhouse launching a sneak attack. There's no time to defend. Lin Chen's heart was filled with helpless despair. He hadn't expected that a Bai family powerhouse would launch a sneak attack on him at this moment. This streak of light had forcefully broken through Taihao City's great city barrier array. It went straight for Lin Chen's head. Lin Chen's potential and talent had already caused the Bai family powerhouses to be extremely wary and on guard. They were even willing to risk the possibility of starting a war with Heavenly Song Academy to eliminate him. In a flash, Lin Chen mobilized all the rune energy in the system and prepared to fight to the death. Break. An elegant and light voice rang out. A graceful woman in white appeared beside Lin Chen like a ghost and spat out a single word from her peachy lip. That shocking streak of light that spanned across the sky of Taihao City actually turned into nothingness after this woman appeared. Not even the slightest ripple was set off. It disappeared in an instant just like that. Even Lin Chen was shocked by this scene. This kind of strength couldn't be possessed by a Yuan Venerate. Could this beauty be the legendary War Empress? Lin Chen was shocked as he stared at the beautiful woman in white in front of him. The beautiful woman in white's slender, jade-like finger casually swiped across the void. The space on the horizon suddenly exploded with a tearing sound. An extremely tragic scream rang out. Lin Chen's mind-power perception faintly captured a scene far away in the horizon. In Taihao City, an old figure was fleeing in a sorry state. His arm was broken as he frantically crushed a jade slip. The jade slip opened a vortex similar to a spatial passageway at lightning speed. Then, he immediately entered the spatial vortex and disappeared. A starry sky teleportation jade slip? You're willing to part with it. Forget it, he's just a mere venerate ant. The beautiful woman in white waved her hand nonchalantly and looked at Lin Chen, who was staring at her in a daze. Aren't you going to guess why I saved you? The beautiful woman in white asked with a smile. Lin Chen stroked his chin and said seriously, Isn't it because you found out that I'm the most handsome man in Jiuzhou? The beautiful woman in white was stunned when she heard this. Then, she giggled like 100 flowers blooming. Her bright eyes and white teeth were as beautiful as the stars. Then, she nodded and smiled. You are indeed very interesting. It has been thousands of years since someone dared to speak to me like this. Lin Chen did not doubt this. If this beautiful woman, who seemed to be a war empress, said that she had lived for tens of thousands of years, Lin Chen would believe her. Rubbing his hands, Lin Chen asked nervously, Well, beautiful sister, are you trying to kidnap me? To be honest, Lin Chen was really a little nervous. If this woman was a member of an ancient family or a hidden powerhouse, it would be as easy as blowing off dust for her to kidnap him. Even a powerhouse suspected to be a 9th-level venerate had his arm crippled with a snap of her fingers. Lin Chen was like a baby in front of her. You are really smart. I am indeed trying to kidnap you. The beautiful woman in white waved her hand and the surrounding space shifted. A vast starry sky flashed by. After a few dozen breaths, Lin Chen stood still and returned to a familiar place. Surrounded by birds and fragrant flowers, there was a large hall. This was the Elders' Conference Hall of the Sky Song Academy. Oh my God, what a terrifying spatial shift! How long has it been and I'm already back in the Sky Song Academy? While Lin Chen was marveling inwardly, a group of high-level elders appeared in the hall. Vice President, you are back. Why is it only Lin Chen? Where are the other purple merits? Among the joyful and puzzled voices of the high-level elders, Lin Chen recognized the title of this beautiful woman in white. Vice President? Sky Song Academy's Vice President. Lin Chen sucked in a breath of cold air. Oh my God, no wonder her strength is so terrifying. Based on this title, her strength must be at least a war emperor. Chapter 395. I only brought him back. As for the other 4, you can ask him yourselves. The vice president's casual tone caused all the elders to turn their gazes towards Lin Chen. Lin Chen was calm and composed as he spoke in a matter-of-fact tone. I've killed all 4 of them. That's all. After saying that, all the elders were stunned. Killed all 4 of them? All 4 of them were killed? Seeing that Lin Chen's body did not have any serious injuries and his casual demeanor, most of the elders were dumbfounded. Those were 4 purple merit. This kid killed all 4 of them and still managed to escape unscathed? Wasn't this strength a little too terrifying? Furthermore, with his casual demeanor, it did not look like he had killed 4 purple merit. It looked more like he had killed 4 insignificant chickens. Hearing this news, some of the elders fainted on the spot. You dared to kill Xiangyu. Absolute life. My absolute life. How could this be? A few of the elders were filled with killing intent as they glared at Lin Chen. Enough. What are you wailing and howling for? Don't tell me you want to make a move in front of the vice president? Meng Qianma swept a glance at the elders and they immediately regained their senses. They did not have the qualifications or strength to be impudent in front of the vice president. Why don't you think about the character of the students you've taught and what you've done to them? Meng Qianma pursed his lips and the elders all had a tacit understanding. Although the 4 purple merits were talented, in terms of character, they did not have any merits worth mentioning. Look at how you've forced this honest kid. Don't we all know Lin Chen's character? If you didn't provoke this honest kid, would he have killed all 4 of them? Meng Qianma's words made Lin Chen's face turn red. So I'm an honest kid in everyone's eyes. This is probably the best annual evaluation I've ever received. Alright, Qianma girl. Don't talk nonsense. Now is not the time to investigate Lin Chen's responsibility. The two elders rolled their eyes at this girl. She playfully winked at Lin Chen. Lin Chen, you should leave for now. We still have to hold a meeting. As for your punishment and results, we will inform you. You should be mentally prepared. The two higher-ups glanced at him and waved their hands. Lin Chen chuckled. He cupped his fists and bid farewell. Then, he disappeared like a wisp of smoke. It was hard to imagine that he could still be so free after killing 4 purple merits. In fact, most of the higher-ups knew that this punishment wouldn't be too severe for Lin Chen, because the vice dean had personally come out of seclusion because of him. His talent was so great that even the vice dean had to make an appearance. This was enough to show that Lin Chen was at a level that they couldn't touch. The higher-ups who had personally nurtured the 4 purple merits could be said to be angry but did not dare to speak up. The next meeting was an unprecedented grand event that would affect the spiritual state and one of the other 9 states. Lin Chen didn't care about his weakened state. He swallowed a low-rank 6 profound underworld pill and trotted back to his dormitory on the ancient azure dragon. Iji, how is everyone? When he returned to the dormitory and saw Han Iji and Shangguan Bihan, Lin Chen shouted excitedly. When the Su sisters saw Lin Chen, their green eyes reddened. They gritted their teeth and said, "Everyone's situation is still not good. The instructors are already treating them." "Big brother, are you alright? Where are the 4 purple merits?" Han Iji's mental strength had also reached the transcendence realm. Seeing Lin Chen covered in wounds, she asked with concern. "I'm fine. The most important thing is everyone. It's already been 20 hours. If we don't treat them now, their injuries will endanger everyone's future cultivation. Quickly bring me there." In the alchemy room of the freshman dormitory, Han Iji brought Lin Chen into the room. Seeing him barge into the alchemy room, the instructors were shocked. "I will take over their treatment from now on. Instructors, please step back," Lin Chen shouted with his transcendence realm mental strength. The instructors couldn't help but turn pale with fright. Transcendence realm mental strength? After dismissing all the instructors and elders of the alchemy department, Lin Chen waved his hand and the level 5 alchemy furnace fell to the ground. Facing the unconscious people, he said in a low voice, "Iji, assist me." Yes. Han Iji had transcendence realm mental strength and had been nurtured by the Han family and Lin Chen. Now, she was already a level 5 alchemist. Dragon Cry Grass, 9 Sun Apricot Flower, Blood Drop Purple Gold Vine. The spirit storage ring flashed and a large number of herbs appeared. Han Iji took these herbs and started refining them with ease. Lin Chen concocted level 5 pills with different medicinal effects according to everyone's different injuries. He put his thumb and thumb together and used his mental strength quickly. The lightning flash 1,000 seals was executed and a large number of herbs were refined at the same time. With Lin Chen's current alchemy skills and Han Iji's assistance, the speed at which he refined level 5 medicinal pills was extremely fast. In less than 2 hours, everyone's injuries had stabilized. "In less than 2 hours, he said, "give everyone this level 5 Taigenesis pill." Lin Chen was drowsy and passed out just as he passed the pill to Iji. Class monitor. 2 days later. In a clean and tidy guest room, Lin Chen slowly woke up and the fragrance of a group of young girls entered his nose. "It smells so good. Am I in heaven? Who would have thought that someone as handsome as me would die young?" Lin Chen had just woken up when he felt the world spinning and had a splitting headache. He's awake. Class monitor is awake. "Woo-woo, big brother Lin Chen, you scared us to death. I heard that class monitor even fought with 4 purple warriors for us. That's too reckless." Lin Chen woke up and a group of beautiful figures came into view. They surrounded his bed and chattered worriedly. So I didn't die. You scared me. Is everyone all right? Lin Chen said to the girls with a smile as he wiped the sweat off his forehead. Sorry, class monitor. We dragged you down. Xiang Qinghong apologized. Lin Chen waved his hand nonchalantly. How are the others? The boys haven't woken up yet, but their injuries have stabilized. Lin Chen breathed a sigh of relief when he heard that everyone was fine. Oh yeah, all of you seem to have grown to blue warriors in the past year? Lin Chen smiled. The girls immediately surrounded Lin Chen and smiled happily. During the conversation, Lin Chen found out that after he left a few precious pill formulas for the medicine hall to sell, the foundation of everyone in Class 66 had improved greatly. With the help of Lu Ying, Lin Tianjian, and the other blue warriors, the entire Class 66 had transformed to blue warriors in less than a year and a half. Han Yizhi, on the other hand, became the second person after Lin Chen to advance to blue warriors after returning from Holy Fire level. When they heard that Lin Chen had killed 4 purple warriors, the girls were shocked and touched. Everyone, I have something to give you after returning from this trip. What Lin Chen wanted to give everyone was the Holy Fire seed that he had obtained from Holy Fire level. Chapter 396. Lin Chen took out all the remaining seeds of the Holy Fire that he had in the Holy Fire realm. Together with the amount that Yan Qianyun had found for him, it was just enough for everyone in Class 66 to have one. The sudden appearance of the Holy Fire seed shocked everyone. The legendary treasure that could create a saint and saintess was placed in front of everyone. It was like a dream. Remember, other than the Holy Fire seed that I gave you, don't absorb any other Holy Fire. Lin Chen warned them seriously. The girls trusted him unconditionally and kept it in mind. The boy's share was temporarily given to Han Yizhi for safekeeping. Just as he finished his warning, an old man's voice came from the void and entered the room. Student Lin Chen, please report to the Elder Hall immediately. It seems like my punishment has been handed down. Lin Chen got up from the bed and saw that the girls were worried. He smirked and teased them. Why are all of you looking so bitter? Are you afraid that I will be beheaded? The vice president is a beauty. Since ancient times, no beauty can escape the charm of your class monitor. The girls covered their mouths and chuckled. Lin Chen pushed the door open and disappeared in a flash. Thunder Sky Island, Elder Hall. Lin Chen, the Elder Hall has unanimously decided to confine you for 1,000 years. The shouts in the hall were like thunderclap. All the elders' eyes were like lightning, staring at Lin Chen with an overbearing aura. Who would have thought that Lin Fan would be so relaxed and calm? He even crossed his legs while eating oranges. He waved his hand. Yes, I'm listening. Please continue. The elders' mouths twitched. What kind of monster was this kid? How could he be so fearless? How could this not scare him? The vice principal, who was watching from the side, covered his mouth and chuckled, sizing up Lin Chen with interest. Go on. Why did you stop? Where is this confinement for 1,000 years? Are you sending me to the secular world to sell my body and let the beauties humiliate me? Or are you sending me to transfer construction materials? I personally think that my singing voice is quite good. Whether it's singing, dancing, or basketball, they are all top-notch. Why don't you send me to a clubhouse? I'm a person with many talents. I guarantee that I'll be able to bring back a bunch of beauties and geniuses to the academy. A certain Lin was very smug as he ate the oranges. There was no end to it. His expression was extremely arrogant. This caused the vice academy director to burst into laughter. Those higher-ups who had once taught the 4 purple merits were so angry that their veins were popping out. Where did this brat get this information from? How could he be so sure that the Elders Guild wouldn't do anything to him? Especially the old man pushing the cart and the little lotus flower sitting on the lotus. Those are all outdated now. I, Lin Luoran, am sick of playing with them. Now that I've combined my famous unique skill of the little black dragon in the wave with the looking back to fish for the moon and the old dragon swings its tail, that's called enough. The elder couldn't help but gnash his teeth and scold. A certain Lin was startled, then he slapped his forehead. I forgot that elder might not be interested in singing. Why don't you send me to sing? My singing is also at the level of a teacher. Let me show you what I can do first. Hang, look at this orange, it's big and round. Hang, look at this skin, it's long and wide. Hang, look at this brother Chin, he's handsome and elegant. I said enough. You're a clown with bad acting skills. The elder was so angry that his hair stood on end. Hey, why are you scolding me? My acting skills are very good, okay? For the first 10 years of the Apika Awards, I was the one who washed my hands with Dihua Xiu soap to receive the awards. Cough, 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 that's enough. Elder Fu, you should just tell him the results of the meeting. The two yellow-robed elders at the side tried hard to hold back their laughter. In terms of bickering, there weren't many people in the spiritual state who could fight with this Lin Chun for a few rounds. Elder Fu announced the results of the Elders Guild's meeting. The result was that although Lin Chun was grounded for 1,000 years, he still had the chance to avoid punishment. That was, he had to at least win first place in the Heavenly Spirit List Conference. The Heavenly Spirit List Conference was a grand conference held in the spiritual state outside of the 9 states. The organizers were the Heavenly Book Academy of the Spiritual State and the Heavenly Song Academy of the Spiritual State. This conference had extremely high standards. It would even attract most of the geniuses of the ancient families to participate. The Heavenly Spirit List Conference included fortune-telling, alchemy, smithing, combat ability, and so on. Those who could be on the list were all legendary figures. Although only the young geniuses were participating, it would still attract the older generation experts of the 2 major states. Because this was the moment to witness the peak of the younger generation of the 2 major states. A while ago, a large number of high-level elders left the academy in order to prepare for this event, because this would be an unprecedented banquet. Lin Chun had to get first place on the list before he could be pardoned for his previous sins. Otherwise, he would definitely not be able to escape the 1,000 years of confinement. I feel that this Heavenly Spirit List is too unfair. Suddenly, Lin Chun flew into a rage and stomped his feet in anger. Those elders who were related to the purple merit rank raised their eyebrows and immediately became interested as they gloated. How is it unfair? This conference has been held for tens of thousands of years, and it's not something that a brat like you can question. Lin Chun pursed his lips and patted his chest as if it was a matter of course. It's unfair in the first place. The Heavenly Spirit List should have another list called the Handsome List. If there was such a list, I, Lin Chun, would definitely be number 1. The corners of the high-level elders' mouths twitched violently. 4 days had passed since Lin Chun's fierce battle with the 4 purple merit rank experts. In these 4 days, the spiritual state was in an uproar. That was Lin Chun. Deities descending to the mortal world, 4 hammers. What added some color to Lin Chun's legend was that before Lin Chun fought the 4 purple merit rank experts alone, he also killed a saint and beat up 3 saints and saintesses, killing the Tianqi saint, stepping on the Xianjian saint, fanning the Yin Yang saintess, and fighting the 4 purple merit rank experts alone. Every single one of these were things that ordinary people did not even dare to think about, but they happened one after another on Lin Chun's body. Everyone was deeply aware that an unprecedented peerless heaven's pride was about to rise. Of course, Lin Chun's battle caused many first-rate forces in the spiritual state to suffer losses, so the Academy sent out many powerhouses to negotiate compensation. However, because Lin Chun's fame was just too abnormal, they had no choice but to accept it. Almost all of the spiritual state was spreading at the speed of a plague. This caused the higher-ups and elders of the Heavenly Song Academy to act like lords when they went out to negotiate with the damaged forces. It was as if the people of the Heavenly Song Academy were the ones receiving compensation. It couldn't be helped, their students were too proud this time. Lin Chen alone was more than enough to defeat the 4 saints and saintesses. As the person involved, Lin Chen did not have the time to care about the many legends about himself in the spiritual state. He was facing a new test. That was, he was going to the Purgatory Secret Realm. Chapter 397. 2 days after Lin Chen accepted the mission of the Heavenly Spirit List. Heavenly Song Academy, Cloud Pavilion's secret room. Lin Chen, who had just finished strengthening his talent, sat cross-legged and opened his system attribute pane. Heavenly Path Possession System version 4, 0 host. Lin Chen cultivation, peak quasi-venerable maximum strength, 17,000 dragon power. Intermediate blood energy, 37,351 intermediate battle chi essence, 4 essences, 29,486 intermediate spiritual power, 3 early transcendence realm, intermediate cultivation method soul essence, 39 points heavenly path points, 9,830 intermediate rune energy, 47 talent points, 0 intermediate elemental energy, 12 points for fire, 18 points for earth, 8 points for wood, 21 points for metal, 8 points for water, 18 points for lightning, 18 points for wind, 5 points for light, 8 points for dark. Cultivation method status pane, open bloodline energy, maximum of 3 green dragon bloodline, 50,000 points, purple golden pupil bloodline talents, destined 1, iron bones 4% attribute runes. Level 4 Slowing Rune, Level 3 Corrosion Rune, Level 4 Charging Rune, Level 4 Illusion Rune Treasures in possession, 15 Tier 5 Medicinal Pills, 420 Tier 5 Medicinal Herbs, 35 Tier 6 Medicinal Herbs, 5 Tier 6 Medicinal Pills, 16 High Blue Rank Battle Skills, 13 Top Blue Rank Battle Skills, 6 Low-Grade Rank Battle Weapons, 2 Mid-Grade Rank Battle Weapons. Lin Chen fell into deep thought. If he were to meet the descendant of God again, would he be able to defeat him? A year later, he would be at least a middle or late quasi-venerable. In terms of level, I have no advantage. In terms of cultivation methods, I can only fight him with the 9 tribulations of creation. In terms of weapons, I am at a disadvantage. Other than my attribute runes and talents, I don't have much of an advantage against him. Lin Chen shook his head and sighed. Escaping was definitely not a problem. But if there was an unavoidable battle, how could he defeat such a powerful opponent? The other party is a descendant of God, so the cultivation methods he uses must not be low. At least, I shouldn't fall behind in this aspect. Lin Chen activated the fusion function and clicked on it. Pressing the button that consumed 2,800 heavenly Tao points, Lin Chen actually chose to fuse all the blue-tier cultivation techniques he had. There were 16 advanced blue-rank battle skills and 13 top blue-rank battle skills. These were all obtained from the 4 purple merits, and now they were all fused together. Boom boom ding, ding. After the fusion furnace was completed, 2 blue and light purple cultivation methods floated in front of Lin Chen. This is a half-purple rank cultivation technique? Lin Chen was so shocked that he lost his voice. Intermediate blue rank and advanced blue rank were the ranks that ordinary Yuan venerates possessed. Generally, only the powerful existences of the ancient families or powerhouses at the 5th level of the Yuan Venerate realm possessed top-grade blue steel. As for the purple grade, it was a grade that even a 9th level Yuan Venerate would pursue for their entire life. However, there were some amazing people in this world who created combat skills that surpassed the blue rank but were still a step away from the purple rank. Those were the half-purple rank cultivation technique. A half-purple grade cultivation technique was the most popular cultivation technique among peak Yuan Venerate. A purple rank cultivation technique was hard to come by, but a half-purple grade cultivation technique was still possible. Lin Chen's fusion this time had been extremely lucky. he had actually obtained 2 half-purple grade cultivation techniques. Most importantly, the minimum requirement to cultivate a purple-ranked cultivation technique was to be at the Yuan Venerate realm. However, a half-purple grade cultivation technique did not have this requirement. Half-purple grade saber technique, 7 deadly underworld. Half-purple grade sword technique, fire glass 1,000 demons. Lin Chun immediately fell from the heavens to the bottom of the abyss when he looked at the 2 battle skills. It was actually a saber technique and a sword technique? Although the system could pass on all kinds of battle skills, Lin Chun was still most comfortable with the spear. If he abandoned the spear and went for the sword, even though there would be no problem in terms of proficiency in battle skills and sword techniques, his understanding of the sword path would be weaker than that of a prodigy who was born with the sword. Suddenly, a thought flashed through Lin Chen's mind. He slapped his thigh and took out 2 sabers and swords from his spirit collection ring. On the right was a saber with a dense demonic intent. It was dark purple and was called the Incomplete Demon Saber. On the left was a sword with 3 azure jades embedded in it. The blade was straight and the blade was like frost. It was called the 10,000 Springs Sword. These were Yi Juesheng's Incomplete Demon Saber and Fu Wanchuan's 10,000 Springs Sword. Damn it, why didn't I think of playing like this? System. I want to pass on the 7 deadly underworld and fire glass 1,000 demons. A system received. Consuming 30 intermediate cultivation technique soul essences. Beginning to pass on the 7 deadly underworld and fire glass 1,000 demons. In the following period of time, Lin Chen was either passing on the battle skills or refining pills. He was conserving his energy and preparing to enter the Purgatory secret realm. Lin Chen even found a piece of level 7 ore, the hidden dragon demon essence, in Yi Juesheng's storage ring. During this period of seclusion, Lin Chen used the Golden Sun forging technique and successfully fused the hidden dragon demon essence into the 5 dragons imperial spear, restoring it to high-grade rank 6. After all the preparations were completed, it was time to head to the Purgatory secret realm. Any Blue Merit Academy student had a chance to enter the Purgatory secret realm, but the mortality rate was as high as 90%. Before the secret realm opened, it would be transported to different secret realms according to the strength of the person who entered and their own characteristic. If one could survive there, they would obtain the most precious fortuitous encounter and opportunity in life. It was also because of this that the 4 Purple Merit Academy students could ascend from the Heaven Dipper realm to the Yuan Venerate realm in about a year. They had strength that was even stronger than ordinary saints. Many reclusive prodigies also entered the Heavenly Song Academy in pursuit of entering the Purgatory secret realm, the highest sky of the Heavenly Song Academy. Above the clouds there was an ancient stone door so tall that the top couldn't be seen. Lin Chen stood in front of the stone door and could faintly feel the ancient and deep aura behind the stone door. This was a product of the ancient civilization. It was unfathomable. After the fierce battle with the 4 Purple Merit Academy students, Lin Chen's fire energy had risen to 12 points, and he had gained another Heavenly Calamity battle body, the Fire Calamity battle body. Now, he had a 5 Calamity battle body and his strength had soared, but he still hadn't broken through the bottleneck of the Yuan Venerate realm. It was as if there was a kind of aura and fate that was guiding Lin Chen into the Purgatory secret realm. In the spirit realm, Lin Chen's spirit seeds had increased by 5. He now had 30 spirit seeds and was close to the domain of the peak early-stage transcendence realm. In the Elders Guild's secret chamber, many higher-ups were gathered together. They watched the scene in front of the stone door projected by the demonic ice stone with tense hearts. Vice President, are we really going to let Lin Chen participate in the Purgatory secret realm? There isn't much time left before the Heavenly Spirit List Conference begins. Yes, if something happens to this child, not only will it delay the Heavenly Spirit List Conference, but it will also be a loss to our entire academy. This is the last and only seedling. The higher-ups broke out in cold sweat and couldn't help but break out in cold sweat for Lin Chen. They all looked at the vice president who was at the edge of the secret chamber. The person who asked Lin Chen to enter the purgatory secret realm this time was actually that mysterious vice president. If a flood dragon doesn't fly, how can it transform into a dragon? This child is indeed amazing, but in the face of the vast and unfathomable ancient era, there were too many amazing people. He is only standing on the starting line now. The 9 provinces continent is very big and there are too many monstrous geniuses. However, if he can survive in the purgatory secret realm, perhaps he will have the qualifications to complete the supreme mission of the ancient era. The vice president, whose clothes were whiter than snow, revealed emotional fluctuations for the first time as he spoke with an unprecedented seriousness. Vice President, why you want to nurture this child to challenge the descendants of the gods? The black and white elder Xian stood up on the spot and cried out in shock. Hearing this, the hearts of all the higher-ups trembled. Chapter 398. Challenging the Descendants of the Gods. They didn't expect the vice principal to think so highly of Lin Chen. The so-called descendants of the gods are just a bunch of arrogant liars who are full of lies. We have been waiting for this opportunity. The purgatory mystic realm was created for this purpose. Now is the time to verify the results. The vice principal's green eyes revealed a complicated expression. Struggle, fear, unwillingness, anger, and murderous intent. Her foresight and experience were extraordinary. She saw endless possibilities in Lin Chen. Since ancient times, no one was more suitable for this mission than Lin Chen. The person who could complete this mission had to be the one who overturned history and shook the gods of Jiuzhou. What kind of place will this purgatory mystic realm arrange for me? Lin Chen was looking forward to it. He placed his palm on the jade stone beside the stone door. The jade stone emitted an unprecedented light that shone on Lin Chen's body, forming a blurry halo that resembled the stars, sun, and moon. This circle of light seemed to be measuring Lin Chen as it constantly overflowed with a faint glow. All the higher-ups and elders held their breaths as they stared at the crystal in Lin Chen's hand with full concentration. To be honest, Lin Chen wasn't very afraid of this purgatory mystic realm. This mystic realm teleported people to different dimensions according to their talent and strength. However, no matter how strong the person was, they wouldn't be able to detect his heavenly path species pickup system. This mystic realm seemed to be extremely dangerous for Lin Chen, but these conditions were built on the premise that Lin Chen didn't have the heavenly path species pickup system. The blurry halo sized up Lin Chen for a long time. After about 45 minutes, it finally started to emit light. Yellow light, green light, blue light. The 4 colors of light continued to rise and change. All the higher-ups almost forgot to breathe as they stared at the light emitted by the crystal. After the dazzling blue light, it turned from blue to purple. Purple light. The purple light had the potential to be teleported to a top-grade mystic realm. Although the opportunity was great, the danger was terrifying enough. However, the purple light didn't dissipate and was still rising. Boom! An orange pillar of light soared into the sky. All the upper echelons, including the vice dean, revealed varying degrees of shock and ecstasy. Orange light potential, 1 in a trillion. No wonder the vice principal thinks so highly of him. This kid's potential is very close to that of the descendants of gods. Yes, even if it's not as good, it's definitely not far off. Don't be too happy yet. We can't predict what kind of dangers will appear in the orange light secret realm. It's hard to say if this little guy can make it out alive. The upper echelons were engaged in heated discussions while the vice principal's green eyes flickered. Back then, she had participated in the creation of the Purgatory Mystic Realm. The highest grade in the Purgatory Mystic Realm was the Orange grade. But she also knew that Lin Chen had a secret she couldn't see through, and that was Lin Chen's characteristic rune. If she couldn't see through the trait rune, it meant that the Purgatory Secret Realm couldn't detect Lin Chen's trait rune either. In other words, the Vice Dean also knew that Lin Chen had a trick up his sleeve. That was why she dared to let Lin Chen enter the Purgatory Mystic Realm. Rumble! The cloud door slowly opened, and a blazing white light entered everyone's eyes. Lin Chen stepped into the giant door, and the white light enveloped him before he finally disappeared. All the upper echelons shifted their attention to a star jade life token in the secret room. They couldn't see what was happening in the Purgatory Mystic Realm. The upper echelons could only determine whether Lin Chen's condition was dangerous through the star jade life token, which contained a wisp of battle force from his Dantian and Yuanfu. The white light shuttled back and forth, constantly moving Lin Chen through the void. This feeling was a little similar to when the Vice Dean had taken him away. Lin Chen's heart was filled with curiosity and anticipation, but he was also very cautious. Battle force disappeared all over his body. Lin Chen was ready to mobilize the rune energy in the system at any time. Rumble! Bang! Finally, the door of the Purgatory Mystic Realm closed, and the white light that illuminated heaven and earth dissipated. However, what everyone didn't realize was the orange light from the crystal in front of the giant door that was used to test Lin Chen's potential slowly dimmed and dissipated. When the orange light dissipated, a different ray of light flashed by and dimmed immediately. That ray of light was red. The void changed and the stars moved. Lin Chen experienced nearly an hour of void teleportation before his feet finally touched the ground. As soon as he landed, Lin Chen immediately circulated his cultivation technique and was always on guard against his surroundings. This was a gray plain, and there was an ocean of spatial turbulence on the horizon. If one got close to the spatial turbulence, the defense of a 4th-level Yuan Venerate or below would be easily torn apart. Those who enter the Mystic Realm, please complete the mission within the specified time limit. At that moment, an obscure voice was transmitted to Lin Chen's mind. Mission: please kill the living being in the Mystic Realm with a flickering orange light above its head and obtain the inheritance of a secret treasure flickering with orange light. Time limit: 30 days. Mission details: everything is required. If you can't complete the mission, your consciousness will be automatically erased. This mission was engraved in Lin Chen's consciousness seed. Lin Chen felt a faint sense of danger. If I can't complete the mission, I'll die. This Purgatory Mystic Realm is really ruthless. Lin Chen clicked his tongue in wonder. He spread his purple phoenix wings and flew slowly. Although this place was vast, the spirit energy was thin. Lin Chen didn't intend to waste his battle chi. Living being with an orange glow? I can use my purple gold eyes to look for it. Lin Chen used his purple gold eyes to scan his surroundings. After flying for less than 15 minutes, Lin Chen entered the range of a huge mountain range. He didn't discover the living being with an orange glow. Instead, Lin Chen discovered the light of an attribute ball. A platinum treasure chest was floating in the center of a basin in the mountain range. Lin Chen was delighted and sped up. The moment his fingertips touched the platinum treasure chest, a hair-raising sense of danger and killing intent filled Lin Chen's entire body. Dark Dragon Palm, Wan Yuexian Armor. The charging rune was activated and the Dark Dragon Palm blasted out. 29500 Dragon Power Points transformed into 8 layers of Dark Dragon energy. The Heaven Dipper Battle Chi and Wan Yuexian Armor were activated together with the Metal Calamity and Earth Calamity Battle Constitution. Chi. Bang. A huge tail as thick as a dragon swept across the galaxy and sent Lin Chen flying. The dragon's body was tens of thousands of feet long, and its scales were light gray with a tinge of red. Its face was shaped like a dragon's horn, and its 4 legs were coiled up. Its entire body released an indestructible wild aura and blazing aura. This was a rank 6 intermediate black flame dragon. It concealed its aura so that Lin Chen, whose attention was on the platinum treasure chest, didn't realize that it was lurking nearby. Lin Chen, who fell to the side of the cliff, narrowed his eyes with blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. The platinum treasure chest opened, and a screen appeared. Host has opened the platinum treasure chest and obtained 1 rune evolution stone. Upgrade the corrosion rune for me. Lin Chen obtained the rune evolution stone and upgraded the last characteristic rune to level 4 on the spot. Chapter 399. Lin Chen wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth as he stared at the black flame horn dragon with an excited battle intent. It had been hit by Lin Chen's 8th level Dark Dragon Energy, Dark Dragon Palm, which was enough to shake a peak 3rd level Yuan Venerate. How could it be unscathed? On the other hand, Lin Chen had been injured by its sneak attack. This big guy is comparable to a mid-4th level Yuan Venerate. Think twice. If my reinforced iron bones had not reached 4%, my ribs would have been broken by that tail. The first 3 levels of the Yuan Venerate realm were only the beginning of the Dantian and Yuanfu. The further one progressed, the harder it would be to challenge someone of a higher level. At the 4th level, when the 4th Yuanfu was formed, more than 4 Yuanfu would fuse together and the might of one's battle chi would soar. In terms of pure strength, 10,000 dragon power points would be comparable to an early 1st level Yuan Venerate. 20,000 dragon power points would be comparable to an early 2nd level Yuan Venerate. 30,000 dragon power points would be comparable to an early 3rd level Yuan Venerate. However, to be comparable to a 4th level Yuan Venerate, one would need at least 50,000 dragon power points. A mid-4th level Yuan Venerate would require 60,000 dragon power points. A 5th level Yuan Venerate would require 80,000 dragon power points. Starting from the 4th level Yuan Venerate, the further one progressed, the more terrifying it became. Furthermore, if one encountered a Yuan Venerate with a high-level battle technique, one would not have any advantage in terms of pure strength. Azura 9 Brilliance Transformation. The black flame horn dragon waved its claws angrily. Its dragon breath turned into blades that tore through the mountains and collapsed them. It split the spatial crystal walls. Lin Chen's movements were as fast as lightning as he used the Thousand Shadows lightning instant and the purple phoenix wings to avoid the dragon breath blades. 5-colored dragon chi coiled around his palm as Lin Chen wielded his spear domineeringly. At the same time, he released the ancient azure dragon. What was strange was that Lin Chen's 5 dragons imperial spear was more than 1 level stronger than before. The dense 5-colored dragon chi, which contained a faint dark dragon chi, lingered. Slow rune. Lin Chen did not underestimate his opponent. He released a slow rune with 6 runes of rune energy. It delayed the black flame horn dragon by 50%. Roar. The dark flame horn dragon's ferocious aura was still present. It opened its mouth and spat out a sea of scarlet flame wind blades. Every scarlet flame wind blade was curved like a crescent moon. They were 300 meters long and contained terrifying pure strength and dragon breath energy. Its destructive power could easily penetrate through the defense of a 3rd layer intermediate. What abnormal strength! Lin Chen frowned as he quickly brandished the 5 dragons' imperial spear. The tip of the spear danced left and right, deflecting a portion of the scarlet flame wind blades with great difficulty. The scarlet flame wind blade bounced off and splashed onto the ground, igniting a huge fire in a radius of 10,000 miles. His arm went numb. Lin Chen's purple phoenix wings flapped continuously, and the Thousand Shadows thunder instantly shifted like the stars in the sky. Lin Chen's entire body flashed up and down in the air, dodging countless scarlet flame wind blades. Dodging and rebounding, he dodged many attacks. The ancient azure dragon used the frightening dragon roaming body technique and sneaked into the void with the azure dragon. Taking advantage of the azure dragon's unpreparedness, the azure dragon swept its tail and twisted it. Boom! The ancient azure dragon exerted all its strength and tied up 80% of its body with its own pure strength. Roar! The black flame-horned dragon struggled madly. It suddenly unleashed its strength and twisted its dragon body. Streaks of dragon breath flames surged. Even though part of it was sealed by the slowing rune, the violent strength still shattered the ancient azure dragon's entire body as it struggled. The violent temperature kept burning the ancient azure dragon. The dragon breath heavenly armor that the azure dragon gathered all its strength was burned and shattered by this big guy. Even the dragon's scales started to crack, and dragon blood gushed out. There was an insurmountable gap between the two. Even though the ancient azure dragon had mastered 4 divine powers, it was still no match for the black flame-horned dragon in a few rounds. However, it had already stalled enough time for Lin Chen. When the black flame-horned dragon vented its anger on the azure dragon, Lin Chen swept over its head like a bolt of lightning. The 5 dragons' imperial spear swirled with a sharp chi of Gungjin as it suddenly stabbed into its head. Heavenly metal dragon transformation. The charging rune and the corrosive rune were activated at the same time. All the battle aura of the gold calamity body was gathered in this attack. The sharp metal aura exploded from the tip of the spear and pierced through the black flame-horned dragon's head. Splat! Blood splattered across the sky as attribute light balls erupted. Lin Chen's attacks did not stop. The ancient azure dragon turned into a ray of light and entered Lin Chen's body. 29500 dragon power points fused with Lin Chen. His palms were like raging waves as he slammed the 5 dragons' imperial spear into the black flame-horned dragon's head like a sharp arrow. Then, the 7-fold dark dragon force. Dark dragon palm was like a violent storm as it crazily slammed into the black flame-horned dragon's wound. Because the level 4 corrosive rune had corroded most of its power, and coupled with the slowing rune, its power was almost completely sealed. The black flame-horned dragon had no chance to counterattack Lin Chen at all. It was blown up on the spot by Lin Chen's dozens of dark dragon palms. Attribute light balls scattered all over the ground. Lin Chen's dark-type battle aura was completely drained, leaving not a trace. The energy used to fight such a big guy was no less than fighting 300 rounds with the 4 purple merits. Host received 80 Heaven's Path points, 45 80 blood energy, 4 earth energy, 8 fire energy, 100 talent points, and 8 rune energy. After picking up dozens of attribute light balls, Lin Chen's pure strength skyrocketed. From 17,000 dragon power points to 20,000 dragon power points. Azure Dragon swallow it. While Lin Chen refined the attribute light balls, he did not forget to summon the Azure Dragon. The Azure Dragon swallowed the black flame-horned dragon's beast core in one gulp and then devoured the black flame-horned dragon's corpse. Rank 6 mid-grade beast core was refined into surging energy. Lin Chen used his mental cultivation method to help the Azure Dragon absorb it. In less than a day, the human and dragon's pure strength had rapidly increased by a level. Ancient Azure Dragon. 38,000 dragon power points. Combined with the 4 special techniques, its combat power was close to late-stage Tier 3. Lin Chen. 22,000 dragon power points. System. I want to use all my talent points to strengthen reinforced iron bones. System receive. Consumed 400 talent points. Strengthened passive talent. Reinforced iron bones 5%. Rune energy has also reached 69 points. This is not a loss. With a satisfied smile on his face, Lin Chen swallowed 2 battle chi replenishing pellets. Lin Chen used his mental cultivation method to refine and absorb spirit energy to replenish his battle aura and continued to search for his target. For the next 3 days, Lin Chen did not discover anything other than some treasure chests containing rank 5 and rank 6 herbs. He traveled millions of miles, crossed many mountains and barren lands, and crossed mountains and seas. However, the so-called living being with orange light did not appear. As a precaution, Lin Chen activated the spirit illusion cloak to disguise and change his appearance and body shape. He also completely eliminated his aura. On the 5th day of entering the Purgatory's secret realm, in a bottomless abyss, there was a cave that had been abandoned for many years. The silver-robed young man stood in the air. His face was as calm as water, like a willow in the spring breeze. His eyes were as green as jade. This young man was Lin Chen, who had disguised himself with the spirit illusion cloak. He activated his purple-gold eyes, and through the cave's broken restrictions, 2 orange lights were faintly flickering. "Looks like both of my mission targets are inside." With a smile on his face, the 5-colored dragon aura circled around his palm. Lin Chen held the 5 dragons' imperial spear in his hand, dashed forward, and kicked open the cave's giant door. Boom! Dust and sand flew everywhere. The cave's interior was countless times wider than Lin Chen had imagined. Chapter 400. As far as the eye could see, it looked like a boundless plain. At the end of the cave abode was a circular energy shield. Inside the shield were 5 holy fire seeds. Apart from that, there was also a scroll flickering with a faint purple glow and 3 pieces of level 7 5-colored rare ores. However, Lin Chen only caught a glimpse of the treasures inside the shield. He did not even have time to be surprised. At that moment, Lin Chen's pupils constricted and he shuddered all over. 10,000 meters away from the energy shield, a purple-clothed figure stood proudly. He wore a feathered crown on his head. His face was as white as jade, and there was a bronze mirror hanging from his waist. His phoenix eyes were cold and demonic, and his pupils were turquoise. A black saber hung from his waist. He had a dignified appearance, and there was a sense of superiority and dominance between his brows. The saber at his waist was like thousands of evil dragons that looked down on the world. If the saber was unsheathed, it could divide heaven and earth and slay heroes. Above the head of the young man in purple, there was a saber-gleam Xian wheel that shone with the holy light of God. It was the glory of God that lasted for thousands of years. Just the aura of the saber-gleam Xian wheel alone was enough to make anyone below the 3rd level Yuan venerate kneel on the spot. The moment their fateful gazes met, both of them recognized each other immediately, even though Lin Chen's face was different. The young man in purple was the descendant of God that Lin Chen had encountered in the Holy Fire level. The person Lin Chen wanted to eliminate in the Holy Fire level was actually him? This mission was simply impossible to complete. Lin Chen might not even be able to perish together with the other party. Even the purple-clothed young man himself was distracted for a moment. Neither of them had expected to meet again here. "It's actually you, a mortal? Ha ha ha. Do you think that I won't be able to recognize you just because you've put on a disguise? It's really a case of searching high and low only to find it by chance." The young man in purple threw his head back and laughed maniacally. At that moment, the entire secret territory changed. In the blink of an eye, Lin Chen unleashed the battle chi of 3 heavenly tribulation battle bodies as he activated Azura 9 Brilliance transformation. His cultivation had temporarily broken through to the pseudo-Yuan Venerate level. Without becoming a Yuan Venerate, the Battle Chi Natal Palace would never be perfectly formed. No matter how many secret techniques were used, they would only be able to temporarily increase their Battle Chi. Before I take the Nephilim Emperor's cultivation method, I'll use you to practice my saber. This time, I won't allow you to escape. Remember, my name is Hunmabai. My eternal darkness imperial saber doesn't kill nameless people. The descendant of God Hunmabai laughed madly towards the sky. The rank 7 saber eternal night was unsheathed. A faint dark aura was rolling around the blade, and the tip of the blade revealed a terrifying aura that could split the sky. Eternal night slaughter sovereign slash. Holding the blade with both hands, Hunmabai suddenly slashed down diagonally. The moment the blade slashed down, the world fell into darkness. light, vitality, spiritual energy, space, everything seemed to have turned into nothingness under this blade. The world in Lin Chen's perception seemed to have turned into darkness. A single slash could destroy the heavens and earth. Any expert who faced this slash would lose their will to fight and die. They could only obediently stretch out their necks to be slaughtered. In the world of darkness, the only flickering dark light was the sharpest blade of the eternal darkness imperial saber. Corrosion Rune, Heavenly Gung Dragon. The two great runes, Charge and Corrosion, were activated. With the Azure Dragon's strength attached to his body, Lin Chen stepped forward brazenly. Holding the spear with both hands, he stabbed out furiously and collided head-on with the eternal darkness imperial saber. Clang! Rumble! The aftermath of the overwhelming air waves overturned the entire cave abode. A chasm split open in the ceiling of the cave abode. The aftermath of the energy was like a sudden thunderclap that exploded within a radius of tens of thousands of kilometers. A figure flew out from the crack like a kite with a broken string and fell into the abyss. It was Lin Chen. With just one slash, he had sent Lin Chen flying. This outcome was almost no different from the battle when they first met in the Holy Fireland back then. The only difference was that Hun Mabai had used his true strength as soon as they met. He did not give Lin Chen a chance to escape at all. Boom! The dark saber gleam that was as deep as the abyss cut through the universe and flew out from the cave abode. The abyss trembled. Lin Chen held onto the bloodstains. With his purple phoenix wings and astral teleportation, he executed his movement technique to the extreme. Swoosh! Lightning flashed through the void. Lin Chen barely avoided the second slash. The saber gleam split the ground 40,000 meters away, forming a new abyss. What terrifying strength! This is the growth of a god's descendant. Lin Chen's pupils constricted. Even though he was hit by the corrosion rune, Hun Mabai's strength did not decrease too much. Back when he was at the Holy Fireland, the rank 7 weapon, Eternal Darkness, could only barely resist its sharpness in Hun Mabai's hands. Now that he had attacked and walked in front of Lin Chen, he was actually at the beginner first level Yuan Venerate level. The rank 7 weapon, Eternal Darkness, in his hands began to glow with the peerless sharpness that belonged to it. There was no way out of this battle to the death. Only one person would leave the Purgatory secret realm that belonged to Lin Chen alive. Mortal, do you see clearly? This is the difference between you and a god. Hun Mabai laughed wantonly. He slashed the cave with his saber and transformed into a stream of light that chased after him. What kind of god are you? Do you still think that I can't do anything to you? Lin Chen's expression was filled with a frenzied battle intent and a wild smile. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Boom! In the sky above the abyss, thousands of sword shadows pierced through the void and burned the space crystal walls. They were like a rain of fire-glass swords that pierced downwards. Almost at the same time as the rain of fire-glass swords, a faint green saber gleam that could repel ghosts and gods instantly slashed down. It was like a flash of sharpness from hell. What? Hun Mabai's expression changed slightly. The sky-shattering kick shadows were extremely fast. A remnant light reversed and kicked Hun Mabai's back. A hand seal was formed in a flash. 2 Azura demon statues appeared above Lin Chen's head. The earth-shattering spiritual impact destroyed the firmament. It's not over yet. The moment the Azura's wrath erupted, Lin Chen pushed out with both hands. The grayish-white talisman flew across the sky and exploded. The system's rune energy dropped by 6 points. The slowing rune sealed 50% of Hun Mabai's battle chi. Bang! 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 The earth-shattering explosion shattered the entire abyss. The surrounding cliffs collapsed and the ground was lifted. In the void, 4 figures stood in the sky. One of them was holding the remnant demon saber. The wind calamity and thunder calamity battle body revolved around his body. His short hair danced in the wind. One of them was holding the 10,000 Springs sword. The Thunder Calamity and Fire Calamity battle body burned continuously. His silver robe fluttered in the wind. He was awe-inspiring. They were Lin Chen's 3 illusionary doppelgangers. Each of his illusionary doppelgangers had a domain that they were good at. That's right. Although Lin Chen's main body didn't use sabers and swords, he still learned 2.5 purple rank cultivation technique. At the crucial moment, he only needed to let his illusionary doppelgangers use them. The power of a half-purple rank cultivation technique was 3 to 4 times that of a top blue rank cultivation technique. Even if they were just illusionary doppelgangers, they still had the strength of the main body. This was Lin Chen's new trump card. With the 3 great doppelgangers and Lin Chen's main body, even if his opponent was a descendant of God, he wouldn't be afraid. Chapter 401. Glancing at his remaining 54 points of rune energy, Lin Chen was fully focused and prepared for battle. These 3 clones were condensed using 9 points of rune energy. As long as they didn't receive a fatal attack, they wouldn't disappear so easily. Rumble! The saber radiance stirred up the galaxy and tore apart the clouds. Hun Mabai held Eternal Night in his hand and slowly stepped out of the crack in the spatial crystal wall. His entire body was surging with killing intent. His green eyes turned dark red. I didn't expect that a mere mortal ant would force me to use my divine pulse personally. Hun Mabai smiled sinisterly. He flipped the Eternal Night saber in his hand and slashed out with his pitch-black dark battle aura. Boom! A scene that was so strange that it made one's heart turn cold appeared. Bang! Lin Chen's first phantom clone didn't even have the chance to use his movement technique and was killed by Hun Mabai's saber on the spot. What? Lin Chen sucked in a breath of cold air, and his pupils trembled in fear. Seeing the sneer on Hun Mabai's face, Lin Chen reacted instinctively. He and the other 2 clones executed the astral treading teleportation and retreated rapidly. Boom! The Eternal Night saber slashed out again and slashed at the position where Lin Chen and the other clones were previously. The space in the abyss seemed to have been instantly sucked dry and turned into a vacuum zone. Even the cliffs in the abyss had disappeared. This strange thing made Lin Chen's scalp tingle. What kind of F***king combat skill is this? Purple grade? Lin Chen couldn't help but curse. The system's notification came at lightning speed. System notification. As the host's battle opponent is a descendant of a god and has the bloodline of a god, every god has their own divine power. It will be passed down to their descendants because of the bloodline. This is called a divine pulse. The divine power of the host's opponent's divine pulse belongs to the spatial attribute. Please be careful when fighting. Divine pulse? Divine power? This is against the rules. How am I supposed to fight? F***ck. Lin Chen couldn't help but curse. How could a Yuan venerate possess the power of a deity? Hun Mabai chased after Chen Shi with extreme speed. There was a pair of energy wings on his back, and it should be a high-grade treasured artifact. Brat, you're smart. Although I don't know what tricks you used to seal my battle chi, you don't have any immortal bloodline. Without immortal bloodline, you're just an ant. With purple golden pupils, Lin Chen saw Hun Mabai's battle chi flowing slightly above Eternal Night. Therefore, he and his 2 avatars immediately turned around and descended. The saber chopped down like a landslide. A faint saber mark flashed by, and the ground within tens of thousands of feet was instantly turned into nothingness. Once again witnessing the might of the divine vein, Lin Chen felt as if his heart had sunk into an abyss. It was too terrifying. This saber energy was equivalent to jumping through space. With a slash of the saber, even the spatial crystal walls would be sliced into a vacuum, annihilating everything in silence. If he couldn't predict the position and direction of Hun Mabai's slash in advance, he wouldn't have a chance to escape no matter how fast his movement technique was. You'll only force yourself into a desperate situation if you continue to escape. You have immortal bloodlines, but I, Lin Chen, also have my characteristic runes. Lin Chen's heart was filled with the will to fight to the death. So what if you're a descendant of a deity? You want to eat me? Even if I die, I'll break a few of your teeth. With purple golden pupils fully activated, Lin Chen's two avatars immediately turned around and circled around. Lin Chen used Astral Shift to launch a surprise attack and charged straight ahead. The charge and corrosion runes were activated, and the Golden War Spear stabbed out like a falling star. It was a desperate strike that fused demonic might, violent thunder, and the heavenly age reversed dragon. The tip of the spear throbbed with lightning radiance and gold as 38,000 dragon power surged like 10,000 dragons and stabbed toward Hun Mabai's head. You're courting death by attacking me head-on. While Hun Mabai sneered, Eternal Night turned around and slashed furiously. The blade streaked across the void, leaving behind a faint black glow. The saber and spear collided. Clang! As the saber and spear collided, the Golden War Spear's glow trembled, and the five-colored dragon aura spread out. Even though it had recovered to rank 6, the Five Dragons' Imperial Spear was still a distance away from Eternal Night. The violent and fierce saber aura invaded Lin Chen's body, and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. He twisted his wrist and smashed toward Hun Mabai's waist. Hun Mabai took a step back and turned around like a swimming dragon. The blades slashed fiercely and collided again. Lin Chen, who had 38,000 dragon power, was blasted away in close combat. Hun Mabai didn't have it easy either, and his arm bones were slightly numb. Whoosh! As if they didn't give him any time to rest, the faint green shadow swept across the void, and the sword aura stabbed toward him from both sides. It's just as I expected. His immortal bloodline can't be used continuously, and every time before he activates it, he will first activate his immortal bloodline and then activate his battle aura. Lin Chen's eyes lit up as if he had found a way to survive in despair. Not giving Hun Mabai a chance to activate his immortal bloodline, Lin Chen and his two doppelgangers fought each other with speed, and they quickly flashed and tangled together. No matter if it was the 10,000 Spring Sword, the Broken Demon Blade, or the Five Dragons' Imperial Spear. None of these three weapons could last long in front of Eternal Night's saber alone. However, Lin Chen cleverly avoided the chance to clash with Eternal Night head-on, or he would take turns to switch weapons to fight against it. Hun Mabai was wary of the slow rune, and Lin Chen's rune had limited energy, so he didn't dare to use it easily. Furthermore, he also realized that the corrosive rune could only restrict Hun Mabai's battle aura by a little, and it was useless against his immortal bloodline. After a series of tangles with Hun Mabai for more than 100 rounds, Lin Chen fought with speed, and his airtight attacks didn't give Hun Mabai any chance to counterattack. All kinds of sword techniques and saber techniques attacked continuously, and Hun Mabai chewed on elixirs as if he didn't care about his life. Lin Chen himself held the Five Dragons' Imperial Spear and stabbed furiously, and his aura was like that of an Azura descending to the world, fighting fiercely in all directions. Damned ant! You still want to restrain this lord. 1,000 dragons devouring night. Hun Mabai swung his arm horizontally and slashed out the eternal night. Dark dragon shadows tore through the space crystal walls and danced wildly in the air. Fire glass sword rain. Nether 4 flashes. Clang, 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 bang, bang, bang. The saber light and sword shadows were dazzling, and countless fire glass sword chi and dark dragon shadows saber light collided violently. It was as if flowers were falling from the sky, and the battle seemed to be evenly matched, but in reality, the blazing and violent sword rain was retreating bit by bit. Hun Mabai's saber technique was definitely of the purple rank. Coupled with the sharpness of the rank 7 saber, Lin Chen would only be at a disadvantage even if he had the Fire Calamity battle body and the charging rune. However, When the sword rain was restraining Hun Mabai from the front, the Nether Phantom's saber light became faster and faster. The saber light flashed 4 times, and actually tore open a few huge gaps in the dragon shadow's saber tide. Lin Chen's purple-golden pupils maintained the highest vigilance throughout the whole process, and his footsteps shifted and thunder flashed, and he rushed into the gaps and went straight for Hun Mabai. The Phantom Rune was silently activated again, and Lin Chen's 5 dragons' imperial spear spun in the air, and the tip of the spear smashed down fiercely. The tip of the spear smashed Hun Mabai's head angrily, and only then did he realize that he was sneak attacked by Lin Chen at close range. The moment Hun Mabai tilted his head slightly to avoid his vital parts being hit, the bronze mirror at his waist spun, and a bright moon-like light shield appeared. Clang! Bang! Lin Chen poured all of his strength into this spear, and it decisively shattered the light shield, and smashed Hun Mabai's shoulder, shattering his shoulder bone on the spot. However, Lin Chen didn't have the chance to be complacent, and under the prying of his purple-golden pupils, a dominating energy rose from Hun Mabai's body. Hun Mabai's eyes became dark red and bloody. Oh no! His divine meridians were activated. Lin Chen's heart immediately fell into an abyss. At such a close distance, he almost didn't have the chance to escape Eternal Knight's attack range. Chapter 402. And, to be able to injure my spear, your name is enough to be recorded in the history of mortals. Die. Hun Mabai laughed sinisterly. The Eternal Knight suddenly slashed out and activated the power of the Divine Pulse. Death was close at hand. The 2 clones rushed towards Lin Chen like lightning. The moment they pushed Lin Chen away, they activated the 1,000 Mountain Xian armor and blocked with their swords. At this moment of life and death, Lin Chen made an action that was akin to gambling with his life. He did not activate his movement technique to escape from this opportunity that the 2 clones had fought for by sacrificing their lives. Instead, he suddenly activated the slowing rune. The rune's energy decreased by 30 points. An unprecedentedly slow rune suddenly appeared out of nowhere. The moment the slowing rune appeared, Hun Mabai drew his saber. When the strange light that was circulating and annihilating the void was about to explode from the Eternal Knight's saber, the entire space became extremely slow. It was as if time had stopped. What's going on? The entire space has become slow and stagnant. Hun Mabai was shocked. This stagnant space was extremely heavy. Not to mention waving his saber, even moving a finger was extremely difficult. That's right. Lin Chen's target for using the slowing rune this time was not Hun Mabai himself. The target of the slowing rune was the 10,000 feet of space around him and his Eternal Knight's saber. At this time, the space was like a forbidden cage, binding him tightly. How can a mere trashy secret technique compare to my divine pulse? Break for me! Hun Mabai activated his divine pulse and battle chi at lightning speed. The nearby space began to shake violently and shatter. However, the slowing rune was not suitable for Lin Chen and his clones. Just as the slowing rune was about to be broken, the remnant demon flashed, and the netherworld saber slashed through Hun Mabai's head. Clang! Bang! The remnant demon saber was actually eerily repelled. The life-saving artifact, Life and Death Moon Mirror, on Hun Mabai's waist shattered on the spot. Poochie! The blade that was as bright as frost burned with blazing flames and pierced through Hun Mabai's chest. Blood splattered everywhere. A large amount of attribute light balls began to shoot out from the wound on his heart. That position was precisely where his heart was. From the activation of the slow rune to the piercing of the heart, all of this happened in the time of half a breath. Hun Mabai's expression was extremely unsightly while blood seeped out from the corners of his mouth, and his eyes were filled with disbelief and shock. But then, an even stranger scene appeared. Boom! Bang! Space was instantly shattered, but the Eternal Knight's saber still fiercely slashed out. What? Lin Chen's pupils shrank. The blade that could annihilate space did not give Lin Chen any chance to think or react. It suddenly slashed out. Saber chi crisscrossed, reversing yin and yang. The saber that seemed to divide the heavens and earth slashed Wan Yueshuan's armor into two halves. The blade energy pierced through the two clones and then Lin Chen. Even Lin Chen's original body's Wan Yuexian armor and spirit illusion cloak couldn't block this saber attack. The saber energy pierced through his body. The spatial crystal wall in front of Hun Mabai instantly disappeared and was annihilated into nothingness, turning into a chaotic vacuum. Lin Chen's eyes were filled with bewilderment and fear as he spat out fresh blood, mixed with his shattered internal organs. Why was he still able to activate the power of his divine meridians after piercing through his heart and even activating the fire calamity battle aura to burn his heart to ashes? Ha! Aunt, you didn't expect it, right? Every time a descendant of a god forms a heaven and earth dharma form, he would form another heart. Hun Mabai laughed wildly. In front of his chest, there were still traces of scorch marks and sword marks. It was extremely strange. Thank you for telling me. Lin Chen smiled, revealing a smile that was like the final radiance of a setting sun before death. Dark light surged, and Lin Chen's pure strength dropped back to 22,000 dragon power points. A transparent figure appeared behind him like a ghost. It was Lin Chen's third illusion clone. Dark Dragon Palm, Level 9 Dark Dragon Force. Go to hell. Slowing and charging runes were activated. A slowing rune shot into Hun Mabai's Dantian at lightning speed and restrained 60% of his battle aura. Oh no! Which one is the real one? Hun Mabai, who had lost the life and death full moon mirror, blocked with his saber and activated his battle aura to defend himself. But Lin Chen's doppelganger had already closed in on him from behind and slammed a palm towards his waist. That was the position of his Dantian. That was the position of the first battle aura natal palace. The palm slapped on the saber, and the 38,000 dragon power points entered along with the rotating dark battle aura. Chi. Bang. 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 Level 9 Dark Dragon Force passed through the saber and into Hun Mabai's body. His body instantly caused a huge explosion. After a series of explosions, his figure appeared again. Lin Chen, who was slowly falling to the ground in the void, was shocked. In the void, Hun Mabai's body was covered in blood. His robe was torn, and his skin was covered in bloody wounds. Although he was heavily injured, he didn't die. I can't even perish together with my enemy. The spirit in Lin Chen's eyes gradually dimmed, and his heart became quieter. His body kept falling to the ground. That was the sign of his consciousness disappearing before his death. His mind suddenly flashed with his many worries and the path he had taken. I'm sorry, Qing Xian. I'm going to die before I can fulfill my promise of giving you a birthday present, Sister Ruoyan. Yuechi, Eji. Thank you all for letting me have such a good journey. Lin Chen slowly closed his eyes. Heavenly Song Academy, the higher-ups and elders in the secret chamber were in a complete mess. The Star Jade Life Token, which had been infused with Lin Chen's battle aura, had already shattered into pieces and lost its luster. What kind of danger did this little guy encounter? He can even kill 4 purple merit rankers, but he can't pass the Purgatory Secret Realm? The group of elders wailed and sighed. Meng Qianma, the little lowly, gritted her teeth as tears welled up in her eyes. Could it be that even he can't pass? The deputy dean stared quietly at the jade token. No emotions or ripples could be seen in her green eyes. She had returned to her usual calmness and indifference, as if this had been the case since ancient times. However, that pair of eyes seemed to have lost a trace of vitality. They were dim and lifeless. Inside the Purgatory Secret Realm, the trump card of Lin Chen's phantom doppelganger was originally meant to deal with an enemy like Hun Mabai. However, the only thing that had exceeded his expectations was Lin Chen's divine meridians and his cultivation base. He was already a genuine first-level Yuan Venerate. In comparison, Hun Mabai had only reached this level by relying on the Azura 9 Brilliance transformation. Lin Chen couldn't even take Hun Mabai down with him before he was pierced by Hun Mabai's blade aura. After destroying Lin Chen's last doppelganger, Hun Mabai swallowed a few elixirs and wiped away the bloodstains. Then, he glanced at Lin Chen, who had fallen to the ground. It seems like that was the main body. Was that last attack also a desperate enemy's counterattack? What an impressive mortal. At the very least, as an ant, you have already shaken me. Lin Chen versus Hun Mabai. Lin Chen was defeated. Chapter 403. Sigh, who would have thought that I, the most handsome man in the world, would actually die in the hands of this thing. How frustrating. If I had known this would happen, I would have drunk more wine before I died. Then, I could have been more intimate with everyone. Who detected that the host is on the verge of death. Talent, destiny, has been activated and is healing the host. What kind of *T talent is this? Don't bother me. Destiny? Lin Chen, who had been prepared to face death calmly, opened his eyes in astonishment and realized that his consciousness was still there. His body, which was constantly falling from the sky, was glowing with a faint green light. It was crystal clear and as beautiful as a firefly. The green light of the firefly flowed and spread, floating around Lin Chen's wound and disappearing continuously before finally merging into Lin Chen's body. A brand new vitality fused into Lin Chen's body, as if he had been reborn from the ashes. This vitality was even more vigorous than Lin Chen's. It allowed him to replenish all the parts he had lost and become even stronger. Lin Chen's internal organs had been completely shattered when he had withstood that slash. His heart had been shattered, and so had his dantian and natal palace. However, they had been completely restored now. The natal battle chi in his shattered dantian and natal palace once again gathered like a storm. The newly formed natal palace was a brand new world. Green mountains and clear waters formed naturally. Within the vast and boundless Yuan mansion, there was a coiled-up azure dragon that was hibernating within. In the void above the natal palace, there were 9 different stars. These were the 9 types of battle chi brought about by Lin Chen's 9 tribulations of Genesis. This 90% battle chi had condensed into Lin Chen's Dantian and Natal Palace Dharma image. Dantian and Natal Palace had been formed. The moment Lin Chen's body was completely restored, an aura that was several times stronger than before was like a divine dragon that had been revived and dominated the world. Congratulations to the host for advancing to the Yuan Venerate. Destiny has disappeared. Healing of the host's injuries has been completed. Boom. With a thought, Lin Chen stopped and floated in the void. I'm not dead? Lin Chen felt as if he was in a dream. His eyes were filled with disbelief as he looked at his palm. Sensing the battle chi fluctuation that was 3 times stronger than before, he couldn't help but laugh into the sky. Ah! Yuan Venerate, I'm also a first-level Yuan Venerate. Hun Mabai, we still don't know who will emerge victorious. Inside the secret chamber, the hearts of many higher-ups were like dead ashes. Boom! Lin Chen's star jade life token glowed with an even more dazzling light, like a rising star. Lin Chen didn't die. What's going on? His battle chi has become even stronger. It's the Yuan Venerate. He had completely stepped into the Yuan Venerate realm. Before entering the secret realm, he was still at the peak of quasi-venerable. Many high-level elders hesitated for a moment before they were overjoyed. The vice president's green eyes shone with new vitality. Within the purgatory mystic realm, Lin Chen's purple phoenix wings flapped slightly, and all of the attribute light balls and the blue crystal treasure chest that were scattered in the air were all taken away. These attribute light balls had all been dropped by Hun Mabai when he was seriously injured. Host has received 240 talent points, 430 heaven path points, 25 rune energy points, 12 dark energy points. Host has received 1,250 battle chi essence points, 540 blood energy points, 45 cultivation technique essence points, 10 rune energy points. Host has opened the blue crystal treasure chest and received the low-level purple grade cultivation technique, Soul Slaying Slash. After absorbing all of the attribute light balls dropped by Hun Mabai, Lin Chen's Dantian and Yuan Palace expanded a little and finally stopped at the mid-first level. Lin Chen also finally obtained a purple grade cultivation technique. More importantly, Hun Mabai's battle chi was of the dark attribute. As a result, Lin Chen had obtained a large number of dark attribute light balls and gained another calamity battle body. Dark calamity battle body. Light and dark attributes were the two most difficult attributes to collect, but Lin Chen was the first to condense the dark calamity battle body. Lin Chen reached into the void, and the myriad springs sword and broken demon saber flew back to his hand from the ground 500 kilometers away. Trying to run after acting cool? Damn it, if I lose again, I'll stab myself to death. The purple phoenix wings flapped, and the 1,000-instant thunder shadow flashed like a shooting star. In a few flashes, he had jumped thousands of kilometers away. Deep abyss inside the collapsed crack. Phew, although there was an accident, this demon emperor's cultivation technique still belongs to me. Hun Mabai placed his palm on the energy shield and subconsciously touched the bronze mirror at his waist, but he realized that it had already disappeared. This mortal is quite capable. He even shattered my life and death full moon mirror. If he can follow me, he will be able to come into contact with a wider world. Hun Mabai shook his head and laughed. As soon as he finished speaking, the entire cave collapsed. A saber beam that could shatter yin and yang flashed 7 times and slashed across space. Who is it? Hun Mabai suddenly unsheathed Eternal Night and slashed back from his palm. Bang! The saber beam exploded, and the silver-robed figure in the void slowly appeared. Don't be in such a hurry to leave, descendant of a god. Your Grandpa Chen can still fight 39,800 rounds. Hun Mabai's expression changed drastically. You actually didn't die. He had seen Lin Chen stop breathing with his own eyes. How could such a ridiculous thing happen? Could he also be someone with a divine pulse? Suddenly, Hun Mabai also treated Lin Chen as a descendant of a god. The Azura 9 Brilliance Transformations Triple Transformation erupted again. This time, Lin Chen's aura rose steadily. A second Dantian Yuan Palace appeared in his body, and even the outline of a third Yuan Palace appeared. Late stage, second level Yuan Venerate. This time, it was finally Hun Mabai's turn to be moved. He has completely entered the Yuan Venerate realm? Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 phantom clones appeared out of thin air. This time, Lin Chen didn't intend to hide at all. Lin Chen was going to beat up this descendant of a god head-on today. He was going to let this Lin experience the thrill of having his cultivation suppressed. Weren't you pretty good at acting just now? Damn it, you keep calling me this lord. Big Brother Chen, I'm going to beat you until you call me daddy today. Lin Chen's eyes glinted ominously. He was exceptionally savage. He activated his gold calamity battle body and swept the battle spear in his hand across the void. The charging rune was activated. Heavenly Gung Transforming Dragon. The Heavenly Gung Transforming Dragon that Lin Chen, who had broken through to the Yuan Venerate realm, executed was simply a destructive weapon. The 100,000 feet long golden dragon smashed through thousands of miles, and a golden dragon breath flipped the entire cave abode upside down. The Eternal Night saber slashed and a saber beam that could annihilate space shot out. It was so powerful that it could split open the sky. This was a saber strike that activated one's divine pulse. Lin Chen was already prepared. He had executed the astral treading teleportation in advance. The Thunder Calamity battle body flashed like lightning. As the Dark Calamity battle body was activated, his palms overflowed with Dark Attribute battle chi. Streaks of dark dragon energy that shattered the spatial crystal walls roared furiously. Bang! Boom! Lin Chen executed the Dark Dragon Palm with the Dark Calamity battle body and blasted Hun Mabai away at close range, shattering his internal organs on the spot. Hun Mabai, who had been blasted away, didn't even have time to be shocked. The sky was filled with swirling wind splitting kick shadows. Nether 4 flash. Fire glass rainbow. A blazing sword beam that was like a rainbow that split the sun suddenly slashed down. A faint green light circulated in the void, and a sharp saber beam that flashed in several directions cut through the void. Chi. Even if Hun Mabai was at his peak, he wouldn't be able to completely block this storm-like attack. Furthermore, he was injured. His life-saving life and death full moon mirror had been shattered in Lin Chen's hands. Despicable mortal, die. The Eternal Night Saber was brandished repeatedly. Several saber beams that could annihilate heaven and earth shattered everything and blasted all of Lin Chen's attacks into nothingness. The power of Hun Mabai's divine pulse was still incomparably powerful. However, Lin Chen wasn't the slightest bit afraid. He even faintly revealed an excited and fervent battle intent. Chapter 404. Lin Chen's main body didn't make a move at all. Instead, he hid at the side and used his purple-gold eyes to guard against Hun Mabai. He didn't need to make a move. Every one of his phantom clones was at the late second level Yuan Venerate realm and possessed strength comparable to his main body. Judging from the current situation, the 3 clones could completely exhaust Hun Mabai if they joined forces. He only needed to help his clones avoid the attacks of his divine pulse. Lin Chen had broken through to the first level Yuan Venerate realm and was far stronger than before by 3 times. The strength of his Heavenly Calamity combat body was determined by his battle chi cultivation and attribute value. The might of his battle chi had increased by 3 times. If he used the Azura 9 Brilliance change, it would increase by 5 times and the Heavenly Calamity combat body would increase by 3 times. With such strength and foundation, Lin Chen's phantom clones would increase the upper limit of his strength to an unimaginable level. Even someone as strong as Lin Chen didn't dare let his guard down. Nobody knew what the descendant of a deity would do. This battle wouldn't be over until the very last moment. Hun Mabai's hand seals changed abruptly and a sacred light burst forth from his glabella. The light that illuminated the world contained a power that could shatter the universe. Sky Extreme Sacred Light Eye. Crack. Bang. The clone that executed the sacred Shadow Wind Demon Kick was swept by the sacred light and turned into ashes on the spot. The Eternal Night Saber flipped and slashed horizontally across the sky, breaking the spatial crystal wall and forcing Lin Chen's other 2 clones to retreat. What a terrifying treasure attack! Even the late second-level Yuan Venerate clones can only be killed in seconds. Lin Chen's purple-gold eyes observed Hun Mabai's glabella. It was a pale golden eyeball with the luster and brilliance of a ruler. It was a high-grade treasure weapon. Level 7? No, a quasi-level 7 treasure weapon and secret technique. He still has a trump card. However, this kind of attack shouldn't be released too many times. Let's see how long you can hold on. Big Brother Chen is never afraid of a protracted battle, regardless of whether it's a man or a woman. Lin Chen's lips curled into a sneer. Even a first-level Yuan Venerate couldn't control too many level 7 treasures at the same time. Too many treasures would become a burden instead. If it's a doppelganger, you can beat it up as much as you want. Lin Chen's Wind Calamity battle chi decreased rapidly. After consuming 3 rune energy, another shadow doppelganger appeared. As for Lin Chen himself, He was constantly circulating his mental cultivation method to absorb the spiritual chi of heaven and earth to replenish the battle chi that his doppelganger had consumed. The corner of Hun Mabai's mouth twitched fiercely when he saw Lin Chen casually create another avatar. Is this brat planning to exhaust me to death with the doppelganger technique? Then I can't let him succeed. Hun Mabai stomped his foot on the ground, and his movement technique was domineering like a dragon. He seemed as if he was leading the army himself, and everywhere he passed, the crystalline spatial walls were crushed into pieces. He operated his divine veins, and a domineering aura overflowed. Who would have thought that Lin Chen didn't plan to play according to his plan at all? Using the astral treading teleportation, he actually rushed over right in front of him. What? Hun Mabai was shocked. The two of them used their movement techniques and collided almost instantly. Originally, he didn't plan to use his divine vein. He just wanted to use it as a cover to force Lin Chen to move. Gung Chi Rending Dragon. The metal tribulation and lightning tribulation turned into a bolt of lightning at the tip of the spear. Lin Chen fiercely stabbed over with an earth-shattering aura. Hun Mabai, who was caught off guard, suddenly pulled back his eternal knight and slashed out. Boom! Bang! The golden battle spear let out a wail, but Lin Chen sent Hun Mabai flying with a single strike. The doppelganger shook the void, and a grayish-white talisman appeared. It slowed down and froze the space around Hun Mabai. All the attacks happened in an instant. The divine Shadow Wind Demon kick combined with the astral treading teleportation transformed into a light green thunderbolt that shot out and kicked Hun Mabai's back. Crack! Crack! The sound of his spine breaking was like glass shattering. As he vomited blood, he gritted his teeth and operated the remaining power of his divine vein. Break! Hun Mabai suddenly roared. The divine vein's heavenly might broke through the space sealed by Lin Chen's 40-point slowing rune. The Eternal Knight shone with a peerless sharpness and was about to slash at Lin Chen's doppelganger. That doppelganger actually revealed a trace of fear. The sword light traveled thousands of miles, and the saber shadow transformed into a bolt of lightning that slashed at Hun Mabai's body. This slash caused a large number of attribute light balls to drop. Almost! Lin Chen, who was holding the golden battle spear, sighed. It was a pity that his Dantian and natal palace were almost destroyed. Enough! Mortal, I want you to die. Consigned to eternal damnation. Hun Mabai's hair fluttered in the wind. Monstrous battle aura erupted from his body, and he instantly sent all of Lin Chen's doppelganger flying. His eyes turned from dark red to dark green, and a holy will compass appeared above his head. This compass kept spinning, and rays of 5-colored light shone down, bathing him in endless light. The holy light compass was actually a 7th-tier artifact. Lin Chen's pupils shrank. The hole in Hun Mabai's chest grew back. The injuries that he had accumulated previously were all healed in the blink of an eye. Damn it! Today, I will force you to use all your life-saving trump cards. Lin Chen was extremely furious, and he attacked together with the 3 doppelganger. Chi. Heaven and earth turned into a world of darkness. A shocking saber light swallowed the space and annihilated all of Lin Chen's attacks. This was a saber strike from the divine pulse. The holy light disappeared, and the 5-colored holy wheel compass entered Hun Mabai's body. His injuries were completely healed. Even the power of his divine veins had been restored to its peak. Damn it. Everywhere I go, it's a world of fatherhood. It's really good to have a god as a father. Lin Chen was so angry that he gritted his teeth. Although he was mentally prepared, he did not expect Hun Mabai's trump card to be so powerful. Hun Mabai, who was filled with killing intent, floated in the air. His eyebrows were piercingly cold. Unlike before, his hair had turned white. Although the 5-colored holy wheel compass had the ability to heal injuries, the prerequisite was that one had to pay an unprecedented price. The price was one's lifespan. Every time he used it, he would have to pay more than 10,000 years of lifespan. An ordinary first-level yuan venerate only had a lifespan of a few thousand years. He relied on the fact that he was a descendant of a god and his lifespan far exceeded that of a mortal. Even so, Hun Mabai did not have the chance to use it a second time. I did not expect that I would be forced to this extent by a mortal. After this, I will have to ask my father to come out of seclusion and stabilize my lifespan. Hun Mabai bit the tip of his tongue. Blood seeped out and qi gathered. Qi dark red flames burned all over his body. A second battle qi natal palace had actually been created in his body. Early second level yuan venerate. This time, Hun Mabai did not intend to hold back. He used a purple-grade mystic technique the moment he recovered his strength and broke through on the spot. The Eternal Night War Saber slashed out vertically. This time, Hun Mabai did not hesitate to activate the power of his divine pulse. Boom! The dark saber light slashed down, passing through tens of thousands of feet in the air and slashing in the direction of Lin Chen's two doppelganger. Chapter 405. The spatial crystal wall was instantly annihilated, and even the surface of the ground was silently obliterated, creating a bottomless abyss. One of Lin Chen's doppelgangers almost didn't escape from the range of the saber aura, and its legs were instantly obliterated. After consuming another round of rune energy, the doppelganger's legs recovered again. Lin Chen's third doppelganger started to sneak into the void, while his main body and the other two doppelgangers stayed on the battlefield. Ha, I've already seen through your fighting style. This time, you're definitely going to die. The Eternal Night Saber danced and slashed wildly, leaving behind many afterimages. Many mighty saber auras, like bottomless black abyss, slashed toward Lin Chen and his two doppelgangers. Fire Glass Thousand Sword. Nether 5 Flash. Heavenly Dragon Transformation. Lin Chen executed many ultimate techniques consecutively, continuously shattering the endless saber auras, but there were still a large number of saber auras covering the sky. Everything within a radius of 100,000 feet was filled with dark saber auras dancing wildly. Thousands of saber auras were mixed and intertwined like the landscape of heaven and earth. It was as if capturing a dragon and slaying a flood dragon was just a matter of time. Oh no! I'm surrounded! The sky full of dark saber auras surrounded Lin Chen, and his heart instantly thumped. An uneasy premonition surfaced in his heart. He quickly executed the astral treading teleportation, and his two doppelgangers and main body flashed in the same direction at lightning speed, wanting to break out of the saber aura storm. The next moment, Hun Mabai suddenly activated the power of the divine pulse, and the momentum of the divine pulse this time shattered the spatial crystal wall in the sky. It was unprecedented. Hun Mabai used up all the divine pulse's energy, and it shocked Lin Chen so much that he hurriedly turned back and activated his purple-gold eyes, wanting to determine the direction of his attack. Unexpectedly, he didn't plan to attack directly at all. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The intertwining dark saber aura storm trembled slightly, and the space where the saber aura storm was at instantly turned into a vacuum zone. Lin Chen's pupils trembled slightly. He didn't expect that Hun Mabai would actually put all his eggs in one basket. He had poured all of his divine veins' energy into the dark astral blade storm. He was betting everything on this attack. Ah! Of your 3 clones, one is a saber, one is a sword, and one is responsible for providing support or launching sneak attacks in close combat. At this moment, Hun Mabai's extremely arrogant sneer came from outside the dark astral blade storm. So every time you fight, you will definitely let the doppelganger responsible for the sneak attack stay away from the battle. You will let the main body restrain the enemy while the other 2 doppelganger attack. At the crucial moment, you will use the doppelganger to sneak attack, right? As Hun Mabai laughed and chatted, he glanced at the third clone 500 kilometers away. The third clone did not care about hiding at all and had completely panicked. The corners of his mouth curved into a smile that could control the winds and clouds. In the end, I still won. How can a mortal like you fathom the wisdom of a descendant of God? Lin Chen felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar, the coldness piercing his bones. Who would have thought that he could actually deduce to such an extent? I didn't expect you to be so powerful. Stop it. I am willing to submit to you. Lin Chen gritted his teeth and said. Hun Mabai laughed wildly towards the sky. Submit? It's too late to say this now. As a mortal, I have to say that you are very powerful. You even have the strength comparable to me. Keeping someone like you by my side will only raise a tiger and invite calamity. Hun Mabai's expression turned sinister. Die. This time, it's time for you to fall. You will pay the price for my lost lifespan. No. Don't, I beg you. Please don't do this. Lin Chen anxiously shouted and begged for mercy. Boom! Many dark astral blades suddenly attacked, and countless of them crazily slashed over. Every slash contained the power of the God range, and it enveloped the sky and earth. Lin Chen and his doppelganger had nowhere to retreat. Slow rune. The doppelganger attacked crazily, and Lin Chen's main body suddenly released a slow rune with 60 points of rune energy. The slow rune exploded, and the space within a radius of 10,000 feet around Lin Chen became sluggish and solidified. That secret technique again? Is it a last-ditch struggle? But this time, you won't have the chance to escape. Hun Mabai slashed again with eternal night, and all the dark astral blades surged toward Lin Chen, not giving him a chance to break out. At the same time, Hun Mabai's attention was still on the third doppelganger that was 1,000 miles away. He realized that other than being flustered, the doppelganger didn't even know how to move. Crack! Crack! The spatial crystal wall bound by the slow rune cracked, and finally, there was a bang! Boom! 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 Countless dark astral blades that contained the power of the God range strangled Lin Chen's main body and his two doppelganger. The myriad springs sword and broken demon blade were shattered into pieces on the spot. Only Lin Chen's main body resisted with all his might, and the 5 dragons' imperial spear dimmed. Finally, there was a tearing sound, and Lin Chen's main body was split into 2. The dark astral blades that filled the sky were all strangled, and everything returned to normal. The spatial crystal wall within a radius of 500 miles had turned into a vacuum zone. A dim golden battle spear that had lost all its spiritual essence fell from the void. Lin Chen's main body didn't even have a corpse, and only his battle spear was left. However, the rank 6 advanced 5 dragons' imperial spear was completely destroyed. In the end, I still won. Just as Hun Mabai was about to heave a sigh of relief, he realized that Lin Chen's doppelganger was looking at him with a mocking expression. What? PFFF. Hun Mabai, who hadn't realized the problem, didn't even have time to be confused. 3 figures instantly appeared above his head, in front of him, and behind him. A dark dragon palm slammed onto Hun Mabai's wrist that was holding the eternal night saber, and broke his arm bone. A distance of 500 miles is nothing to my astral trampling battle thunder. Now, you are the general. Boom. Bang. Countless god shadow wind, devil kick and dark dragon palm slammed onto Hun Mabai's body like a flood. Afterimages flashed rapidly. Wind calamity battle aura, dark calamity battle aura, violent dragon power, and so on. Many attacks rained down on him. Bang. 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 In a breath's time, the 3 figures had attacked more than 100 times. Countless attribute light balls fell down crazily. After the 3 of them exhausted their battle aura, they changed to punches and kick. There was no mercy at all. In the end, they killed Hun Mabai in the void. Until he died, his body was full of holes, but it wasn't destroyed. However, before he died, his eyes were wide open, telling him that he had died with his eyes wide open. The moment he died, an orange light appeared in the void and shot towards the doppelganger in the distance. The third doppelganger, who was 500 miles away, teleported over and shook his head with a sigh. I begged you not to attack just now, but you didn't listen and insisted on attacking. You don't have any spirituality at all. How can you be the descendant of a god? Lin Chen tore off Lin Chen's spirit receiving ring. The Eternal Knight's saber not far away slashed towards Lin Chen as though it had a spirituality. A saber of this grade already had some spirituality and could protect its owner. Lin Chen had killed Hun Mabai, so its consciousness to protect its owner naturally wanted to fight Lin Chen to the end. The Eternal Knight Saber's ability to fight on its own was comparable to an early-stage 5th-level Yuan Venerate. However, in front of Lin Chen and his doppelganger, it only needed a dozen breaths to suppress it. In the end, Lin Chen won this battle. Chapter 406. The matter seemed complicated, but it was actually very simple. Hun Mabai had mistakenly judged that Lin Chen's third clone was the main body. The reason was simple. After the third doppelganger was killed, Lin Chen had secretly consumed 10 points of rune energy to cast the Phantom Rune, creating a doppelganger that was more durable than any other doppelganger. Secondly, in order to make the clone closer to the main body, Lin Chen had left the pure power of the Green Dragon possession and the 5 Dragons Imperial Spear on the new clone while he transformed into a clone to launch a sneak attack on Hun Mabai. The only flaw was that Lin Chen's main body had revealed a trace of fear when he transformed into a clone to launch a sneak attack on Hun Mabai, who was about to unleash the power of his divine meridians. If it was a phantom clone, it would only have Lin Chen's battle consciousness but not Lin Chen's emotional fluctuations. The fear was because Lin Chen's main body had launched a sneak attack on Hun Mabai. He had almost been struck by the saber that contained the divine meridians, so he had almost revealed his true form. However, in the end, Hun Mabai hadn't noticed this last flaw that belonged to Lin Chen. Ever since the two of them had encountered each other, he had been toyed with by Lin Chen's Phantom Rune. He had been exposed time and time again by this insignificant skill that he had thought was a mortal's domain. In the end, he had perished because of this. In all fairness, even if Lin Chen had advanced to the mid-stage of the first-level Yuan Venerate realm, he would still be at the peak of the first-level Yuan Venerate realm. He didn't have much of an advantage when facing Hun Mabai at his peak. This was because the power of his divine meridians was simply too powerful. The population of the spiritual state alone was in the trillions. Looking at the entire human race of the 9 prefectures, there were at least hundreds of trillions. The descendants of gods were beings that even the peerless geniuses born from hundreds of trillions of mortals couldn't compare to. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that killing such an existence was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Coupled with Hun Mabai's foundation and the many purple grade techniques that he had learned, it was simply impossible for mortals to win against the descendants of gods. This was an iron rule since ancient times. Even someone as strong as Lin Chen didn't have the confidence to break through his godly veins in a frontal attack. If he tried to fight against the power of the godly pulse and failed, he would repeat the same mistake and die in the purgatory mystic realm. This was because his destined one talent could only be used once. He could not afford to gamble. The only thing he could do was to maximize his advantage and use his strength to attack the other party's weakness. In the most dangerous moment, he still maintained an extremely calm state. At the final moment, Hun Mabai still hadn't completely mobilized all of his blade energy to attack his clone. In order to make him believe, Lin Chen's main body was in the encirclement at that time. He did not hesitate to take a huge risk and use the 60 points of intermediate rune energy slow rune to resist. Link after link of schemes. In the end, this arrogant descendant of a god fell at the hands of Lin Chen. No one could predict the outcome before making a choice. From the very beginning, although the descendant of God had been serious about fighting Lin Chen, he had never believed that Lin Chen would force him to use all of his life-saving trump cards. At this moment, Lin Chen was crazily collecting attribute light balls and many treasure chests. This time, the attribute light balls were all dropped by the descendant of God. They were of such high quality that it was the first time Lin Chen had seen them in version 4.0. Host has received 390 Heaven's Path points, 500 talent points, 25 intermediate dark energy points, 55 intermediate cultivation technique soul essences. Host has received 300 talent points, 1 intermediate spiritual energy point, 50 intermediate rune energy points, 6,400 intermediate battle aura essences. Host has opened the blue crystal treasure chest. Host has received the active talent, ultimate moment. Host has opened the purple crystal treasure chest. Host has received the ultimate talent fragment, God Slayer, 1/3. Although the descendant of God, Hun Mabai's death, did not give Lin Chen a second purple cultivation technique, it gave him a new talent, as well as a fragment of an extremely powerful talent. After Lin Chen removed the Azura 9 Brilliance transformation, his second Battle Chi natal palace began to take shape. His cultivation level had already risen to the late stage of Tier 1. Lin Chen could not wait to open the system notification window. He circulated his Battle Chi and forcibly suppressed all of Hun Mabai's high-grade weapons. Hun Mabai's Battle Chi imprint still remained within them, so Lin Chen was unable to make them recognize him as their master. Then, Lin Chen connected to the system. Heavenly Path Possession System version 4.0 Host. Lin Chen Cultivation Level. Late Stage First Level Yuan Venerate. Ultimate Power, 23,000 Dragon Power. Intermediate Blood Energy, 49,666 Intermediate Battle Aura Essences, 4229 Intermediate Spiritual Energy, 4 Peak Early Stage Transcendence Realm, Intermediate Cultivation Technique Soul Essences, 375 Heaven's Path Points, 12,700 Intermediate Rune Energy Points, 135 Talent Points, 7. 580 Intermediate Elemental Energy Points, Fire Element 23, Earth Element 18, Wood Element 8, Metal Element 21, Water Element 8, Lightning Element 20, Wind Element 26, Light Element 5, Dark Element 49. Cultivation Technique Status Window, Open, Bloodline Status Window, Open, Talents. Reinforced Iron Bones 5%, Ultimate Moment, God Slayer Fragment, 1/3, Attribute Runes. Level 4 Slowing Rune, Level 4 Corrosion Rune, Level 4 Charging Rune, Level 4 Illusion Rune. Treasures in hand, this time, his attribute points had soared like never before. Just the cultivation technique soul essences alone had increased by nearly 10 times. Not to mention the rare dark attribute points. Lin Chen's mind seeds had also increased to 36, which was an increase of 6. Lin Chen couldn't wait to open the 2 new talents. Ultimate Moment. Entering the Ultimate Moment state, all of the host's cultivation techniques will be doubled, and the consumption of Battle Aura will be doubled. Releasing the Ultimate Moment will consume a fixed amount of talent point. It is divided into 1,000/5000/10,000 point. The more talent points consumed, the longer the duration of the ultimate moment. God Slayer. One-time consumption of talent point. The more enemies the host has, the stronger it will be. The God Slayer talent points will increase the host's strength by several times, 10 times, tens of times, hundreds of times, and thousands of times. This includes body refinement strength, spiritual power, battle aura cultivation, and so on. System notification. The God Slayer talent points is currently the system's strongest talent. The first requirement is the number of enemies, followed by the enemy's cultivation. If the conditions are met, the God Slayer talent points might be able to kill emperors, saints, and gods. It is recommended that the host use it with caution. Lin Chen's eyes widened and he was stunned on the spot. This God Slayer talent points were simply destructive, increasing one's strength by hundreds, thousands, or even thousands of times. This is too scary. If I get this complete talent points, won't I not even be afraid of the damned Battle Emperor? Lin Chen's heart was filled with unprecedented excitement. This was even more exciting than the first time he saw the Mirage rune. However, he quickly calmed down. Putting aside the fact that he still needed to collect the 2 talent points, the activation of the God Slayer talent points depended on the number of enemies. This meant that in a one-on-one battle, this talent points wasn't as powerful as the description said. I can only look forward to it, but I can't rely on it. In the end, I still have to rely on my own strength. However, this second talent points isn't that interesting. Lin Chen looked at the ultimate moment talent point. This talent points could only increase the power of the techniques by 2 times. Compared to the charging rune, this talent points could only increase the power by 4 times. Moreover, this talent points required at least 1,000 talent points to activate. The cost-performance ratio wasn't high at all. Forget it. If I use this ultimate moment talent points in a life and death situation, I can increase my limit by a little. Lin Chen exited the system, grabbed the scattered 5 dragons' imperial spears, and said with some heartache, "Sigh, my poor precious spear. I don't know how long it will take to restore it to rank 6 advanced." This spear was almost 90% damaged. Even if he had sufficient materials, with Lin Chen's forging skills, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens to repair it. Chapter 407. The moment Hun Mabai died, outside the Jiuzhou continent, on a 100,000-meter tall holy mountain in a special dimension, a blurry shadow slowly woke up from his eternal seclusion. Ugh! Mabai is dead? Did he encounter other descendants? Forget it. I left so many trump cards for him, but he died. It only means that he is nothing more than this. It seems that he trained in the Jiuzhou continent? Do mortals have the ability to kill my descendant? Humph. I don't care who you are. If I meet you, I'll destroy your whole family. The shadow slowly turned around and looked at the holy mountain. There were hundreds of statues standing on the mountain. The statues were like green jade and white crystal, and they were extremely beautiful. They were all lifelike beauties, and their temperaments and looks were 1 in a billion in the world. But the only strange thing was that the expressions of all these peerless beauties were filled with terror and despair, as if they'd encountered some sort of calamity. The blurry shadow looked at the statues on the holy mountain, and said with satisfaction, "Yes. They have frozen and preserved everything when the beauties are facing death. They are the most perfect works of art in the world. Mortals are so whimsical. They want to worship their own people as concubines of God. They are just lowly creatures. They are not qualified to talk to us. They are so stupid. I heard that a mortal in the spiritual state of the Jiuzhou continent wants to contribute a nice toy to me. It seems that I will have one more piece of art in my collection." The frivolous laughter echoed in the void. It was eerie and cold. Inside the purgatory mystic realm, Lin Chen held the dim golden battle spear. If it weren't for this, I might not have been able to deceive that guy. This spear saved my life. After carefully putting the 5 dragons' imperial spear back into the spirit storage ring, Lin Chen adjusted his breathing. After defeating Hun Mabai, he now had 6 types of heavenly tribulation battle bodies. Among them, the dark tribulation battle body, which was the hardest to obtain, had become Lin Chen's heavenly tribulation battle body with the highest attributes. 4 hours later, Lin Chen recovered from his weakened state and recovered quite a bit of strength. After breaking through to the Yuan Venerate, Lin Chen's physique, life force, and battle chi had undergone tremendous changes. Even if he used the 3 transformations of the 9 brilliance transformations in one go, he still had the strength to fight after dispelling it. The aftereffects only lasted for less than 1/10 of the time. This was all thanks to the transformation of his cultivation level and the refinement of the seed of holy fire. At this moment, Lin Chen's gaze turned towards Hun Mabai's floating body. Azure Dragon, swallow it? Lin Chen pointed from afar. The ancient Azure Dragon transformed into a beam of dragon light and devoured Hun Mabai's body. As the Azure Dragon refined Soul Mabai, a vast amount of energy surged into the Azure Dragon's body. The dragon vein that had been silent for a long time began to throb again. Lin Chen assisted the Azure Dragon in absorbing the energy from the dragon vein. Time began to pass. This was because Soul Mabai, the descendant of God, seemed to provide the ancient Azure Dragon with an enormous source of energy, replenishing its many dragon veins. The original 3,800 dragon veins started to connect continuously, expanding to 4,000, then 4,500. Finally, after breaking through the 5,000 dragon veins mark, it stopped at 5,100 dragon veins. After spending a total of 4 days, the ancient Azure Dragon had successfully entered the intermediate level of level 6. In terms of pure power, it was comparable to an early-stage level 4 celestial dragon. In terms of pure combat power, it was completely comparable to a mid-stage level 4 celestial dragon. I reckon that it will completely reach the limit after another 100 dragon veins. I have to seize the opportunity to find the Azure Dragon bloodline. Lin Chen could sense that the ancient Azure Dragon had completely entered the bloodline limit. Lin Chen secretly made up his mind. Then, he set off once again and entered the cave abode that had fallen. In the cave abode, a total of 5 seed of holy fire had condensed within the energy barrier. In addition, there was also a scroll flickering with a faint purple brilliance. There were also 3 pieces of level 7 5-colored rare ore. These things were Lin Chen's other goal this time. Level 7 5-colored glazed crystal, seed of holy fire, and a scroll that seems to be a purple tear cultivation technique. Lin Chen stretched out his hand and placed it on the energy barrier, transferring his battle chi. This energy barrier gradually faded and finally turned into nothingness. Lin Chen grabbed the air, and the 3 treasures immediately floated in front of Lin Chen. The orange light turned into a stream of light and shot into Lin Chen's glabella. Participant who entered the mystic realm, congratulations on passing the purgatory trial. Please return to your original location and teleport away. The obscure and ancient voice reverberated in Lin Chen's mind. He had officially passed the purgatory mystic realm. Lin Chen was not in a hurry to return. Instead, he carefully examined the treasures in front of him. Level 7 5-colored glazed crystal, a top grade ore that contained the energy of the 5 elements. This was one of the treasures that could be used to forge level 7 artifact. This item might be able to help my 5 dragons' imperial spear condense its spirit again. I'll keep it for now. After putting away the 3 pieces of 5-colored glazed crystal, Lin Chen released his mind power and flipped through the purple tear cultivation technique. Low purple tear cultivation technique, Azura demonic spear, and a gradeless secret manual Azura 9 brilliance transformations 4th level. Lin Chen was ecstatic. This purple tear cultivation technique was not only a spear technique, but it also contained the 4th transformation of the Azura 9 brilliance transformations. If I execute the 4th transformation together with my calamity combat body, my strength will undergo another transformation. Lin Chen displayed terrifying confidence. After mastering the 4th transformation, he would be almost invincible against ordinary 6th level Yuan Venerates and below. Before entering the Purgatory Mystic Realm, he had to go all out against a 5th level Yuan Venerate. Now, he would even dare to fight a late-stage 6th level Yuan Venerate. No one would believe that a late-stage 1st level Yuan Venerate could challenge a late-stage 6th level Yuan Venerate. After all, starting from the 4th level of the Yuan Venerate realm, the gap between one's strength would become greater. It would be very difficult to fight across a small realm, let alone surpassing a level. Lin Chen released the ancient green dragon and sat down cross-legged. System, I want to inherit the Azura Demonic Spear and the Azura 9 Brilliance transformations. System notification. Inheriting the Azura Demonic Spear requires 240 intermediate cultivation technique soul essences, while the Azura 9 Brilliance transformations requires 100 intermediate cultivation technique soul essences. Would the host like to confirm the inheritance? Damn it, this is daylight robbery. It's so expensive. That's equivalent to 34 billion elementary cultivation technique soul essences. Lin Chen couldn't help but curse. Learning a top-tier blue-tier cultivation technique only required 3 intermediate cultivation techniques, yet learning a purple-tier cultivation technique required 240 intermediate cultivation techniques? I'm sure. A system received. After deducting 340 intermediate cultivation technique soul essences, the host is left with 35 cultivation technique soul essences. The scroll in Lin Chen's hand turned into a ray of light that shot into the space between his eyebrows. Many cultivation memories poured into Lin Chen's mind seed. Among them, there was an obscure voice that seemed to be completely unrelated to the 2 great cultivation technique. Imperial God, Mysterious Dragon, number 47. These meaningless words didn't attract Lin Chen's attention. However, they were completely imprinted in his mind seed. Chapter 408. A sea of cultivation memories suddenly surged into Lin Chen's mind. He was enlightened and connected. The ancient azure dragon lay beside Lin Chen like a loyal guardian, protecting Lin Chen. This fusion took almost 5 days and 5 nights. On the morning of the 6th day, when Lin Chen opened his eyes, he exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and muttered to himself in surprise. Phew! This demon king is also a peerless expert. He is actually someone who created his own purple tier cultivation technique. Azura Demonic Spear, low purple tier. It was divided into 3 moves. Demonic Spear Rend, 1,000 demons pierce the heart, and Brilliant Demon worshipping the heavens. After learning this genuine purple tier combat skill, Azura Demonic Spear, if Lin Chen encountered Hun Maobai again, he would be able to fight him head-on with the power of his divine pulse. The recharging rune increased the power of the combat skill by 4 times. In addition to the original combat skill, it was 5 times. Although I have another purple tier saber art, it's too bad that the cultivation technique essence wants my life. Damn it, I can only learn it in the future. Lin Chen rode on the azure dragon and flew away. However, he did not return immediately. Instead, he continued to explore the secret realm. The creatures that appeared in the Purgatory's secret realm were extraordinary. If Lin Chen could encounter a middle-rank 6 ferocious beast, his strength would increase again. However, contrary to his wishes, Lin Chen did not find a middle-rank 6 ferocious beast. Instead, he encountered a few waves of spatial turbulence and was almost trapped. At the edge of the Purgatory secret realm, just as Lin Chen was a little dispirited, 2 rays of light shot up into the sky. Is this the light of the sacred fire seed? Lin Chen turned around and looked into the distance. The light of the sacred fire seed appeared in the void tens of thousands of feet away. There, it was filled with a violent spatial storm. With a slight push of his movement technique, Lin Chen charged into the interior of the spatial storm. The destructive power of the spatial storm was extremely strong. Even with Lin Chen's strength, he had to use the 1,000 Yuexian armor to protect himself. It hurts. At this time, a woman's clear and melodious voice attracted Lin Chen's attention. In the space storm that was wreaking havoc in the void, not too far away from Lin Chen, a beautiful figure was being torn apart by the storm. Seeing that 80% of the battle chi of the graceful figure had been consumed and was about to be engulfed by the space storm, she would die here. Could it be that I, Murong Qingxue, am going to die here? The beautiful woman in the green dress muttered to herself as she looked at the spatial storm that was gradually approaching her. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning flashed past, and a warm and strong arm hugged her slender waist. Boom! Murong Qingxue leaned against his warm chest, feeling both shocked and embarrassed. When she turned her head to look, she saw that the young man had torn apart the void with a flick of his finger. With a wave of his hand, he destroyed 2 approaching spatial storms. Murong Qingxue was shocked. Only a 4th level Yuan Venerate or above could repel a spatial storm with a wave of his hand, right? Are you alright? How could he be so careless? This isn't a place where a 1st level Yuan Venerate can enter. The young man's bright and pure smile infected Murong Qingxue. Her heart raced as she gritted her teeth and said, "Thank you for saving my life, young master." She had just thanked him when she realized that she was still lying in someone else's embrace. She hurriedly got up, feeling both shocked and embarrassed. The young man in front of her acted as though nothing had happened. He pointed at the void in front of him and smiled. "Are you here for the sacred flame seed?" "Yes, but I don't seem to be able to get close with my strength." The young man smiled. "I'll bring you in. Since you came first, we'll split it equally." The young man's finger was as deep as an abyss. With just one finger, the numerous spatial storms were scattered and pushed back. Just one finger was enough to make such a terrifying large-scale natural disaster retreat by 30%. Such elegance and strength made Murong Qingxue's eyes flicker. When she looked at the young man's side profile, her eyes were full of splendor. Although his appearance wasn't very handsome, he had a feeling of purity like the sun, as well as a sense of mystery that was as light as the wind. His elegant demeanor was enchanting. "Let's go." "Okay." The 2 of them entered. At the end of the spatial turbulence were 2 sacred flame seed. The young man took one and gave the other to Murong Qingxue despite her refusal. After taking the sacred flame seed, he even escorted her all the way. Murong Qingxue was very touched. Just as she was about to ask for his name, he was already preparing to leave. "Young master, please wait a moment. Can you leave your name? Qingxue is indebted to you, and you even gave me a sacred flame seed. Qingxue will definitely repay such kindness. I don't like to leave my name. Let's meet again if fate wills it." The young man casually waved his hand. Murong Qingxue hurriedly grabbed his wrist, afraid that he would leave. "Then at least take this." Murong Qingxue passed a green jade to him. It was carved using her natal battle chi. As long as the green jade was within a certain range, she would be able to sense it. Afraid that she would continue to pester him, the young man accepted it with a smile, turned around and left. He turned into a wisp of smoke and disappeared. Coming and going like the wind, mysterious, powerful, and reliable. He's really the man in Qingxue's heart. I wonder when I can see him again. Murong Qingxue stared blankly in the direction where the young man had disappeared and only retracted her gaze after a long time. Her beautiful eyes flickered with joy and a faint coldness. "It's all thanks to that young man that I was able to obtain the sacred flame seed. This time, I can completely become the Murong clan's saintess. When the time comes, I'll go look for that damned Lin Chen and avenge my cousin's humiliation." That young man was naturally Lin Chen. He had used the spirit illusion cloak to disguise his appearance when he entered the secret realm. After unexpectedly obtaining a sacred flame seed, Lin Chen turned back at full speed and retreated to the exit of the secret realm. After stepping into the spatial vortex at the exit of the secret realm, Lin Chen turned into a stream of light and disappeared. Heavenly Song Academy, Giant Cloud Gate. Many high-ranking elders were waiting, their eyes filled with anticipation. Boom! The giant cloud gate opened with a loud bang, and Lin Chen's figure stepped out slowly. Seeing that many high-ranking elders had been waiting for a long time, he smiled faintly and said, "Fortunately, I didn't disappoint you. He is indeed a yuan venerate. Good lad. Even I can't see through his cultivation." The high-ranking elders exclaimed. The deputy dean smiled faintly. "He is still a late first-level yuan venerate. His mind power, body tempering, and cultivation technique have all improved." Lin Chin shrugged and smiled helplessly. "I still can't hide from the deputy dean's eyes." "That's right. Little fellow, we saw that your star jade life token was on the verge of death. What exactly happened to you inside?" The high-ranking elders couldn't wait to ask. Lin Chun pondered for a moment and glanced at the deputy dean hesitantly. After the deputy dean smiled and nodded, Lin Chun spoke seriously. "I encountered a descendant of a god in the purgatory secret realm, and my mission was to kill him." As soon as he said that, all the agitated senior elders fell into a strange silence. Even the deputy dean, who had always been calm, had an unprecedented splendor in his eyes when he heard this news. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.